Chapter 332, Chapter 332, Cangzhou Dishi Family, 1. Chapter 332, Cangzhou Dishi Family, 1. There were 6 revered martial artists in the Divine Pill Pavilion. Even if someone wanted to attack the Divine Pill Pavilion, they would have to think twice. After all, the pills that the Divine Pill Pavilion refined were all peerless existences. Moreover, they even took out Tier 5 and Tier 6 pills to sell. It was definitely not something that an ordinary faction could do. In addition to the 6 Supreme Realm Experts of the Divine Pill Pavilion, if they could casually take out 6 Supreme Realm Experts to hold down the fort, the power behind them would definitely be very powerful. The rise of an external force made the major families and forces in Snow Cloud City feel a sense of crisis. However, they could not easily offend the Divine Pill Pavilion. The Divine Pill Pavilion became stronger and stronger. Countless martial artists became loyal followers of the Divine Pill Pavilion. After all, an alchemist who could refine a peerless medicinal pill had a terrifying and powerful influence. Although he did not know the identity of this alchemist, he was definitely not someone to provoke. More and more martial artists followed and supported the Divine Pill Pavilion. All the rogue cultivator forces in Snow Cloud City gradually moved closer to the Divine Pill Pavilion. Li Lingtian sat in the mansion to cultivate. He was constantly receiving news from the outside world. On this day, Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically when he received the news from outside. "Young master, what's wrong?" Yi Feng was surprised to see the change in Li Lingtian's expression. In front of his young master, there was almost nothing that could make him change his expression. Was it because of a message in the Jade slip that made him pale? He knew the message in the Jade slip, which was about the marriage between Dishi family and Tuoba family. But then, he thought of a girl with a different surname who was married in Dishi family. Was this girl related to the young master in some way? Transfer all of your forces to Vast Heaven City. I want to know all of the information regarding Vast Heaven City, including the movements of the various factions in Vast Heaven City. Remember, if anything happens to me, you have to hide. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he waved his hand to signal Yi Feng to leave. Now, he was extremely frustrated. Nothing was beyond his imagination. Moreover, things had happened so quickly. In this world, people's plans were not as good as God's plans. Plans were not as fast as changes. After Yi Feng left, Li Lingtian's expression kept changing as he read the information in the Jade slip. He quickly calculated in his heart. This matter was no longer up to him. Tang Qingyue of the Dishi family and the No-I genius of the Tuoba family are engaged in marriage. Li Lingtian's mind was in a mess. He did not expect the Dishi family to make such a move. The Tuoba family was just an outsider family and was an independent family in Vast Heaven City. The family was extremely mysterious. He didn't expect that Dishi family would use Tang Qingyue to marry Tuoba family. On the 15th day of the 8th month, the news of the marriage between Tang Qingyue of the Dishi family and Tuoba Yu, the number 1 genius of the Tuoba family, had spread throughout Vast Heaven City. Even countless super cities and families in the Azure continent had received invitations. There must be some kind of scheme. Otherwise, they wouldn't have set the date on August 15th. August 15th, there's still half a month left. Could it be that they've been plotting against us all this time? Qingling also knew about this news. The 3 of them gathered together and shared their thoughts. The 3 of them had the same idea. Dishi family was a powerful family, and they should have seen their every move. Plus, Dishi family knew that he was here because of what happened in the Divine Pill Pavilion. They didn't want the Divine Pill Pavilion to become stronger, so they didn't want to make such a move at this moment. Even if Li Lingtian knew that there would be a trap, he still had to jump into it. Many things are beyond our control, and beyond our imagination. Dishi family married Tang Qingyue, and we might not know about it. The Tuoba family is just an outsider family. In Vast Heaven City, the Dishi family is also the ruler of the city. However, there must be a reason why the Dishi family can tolerate the Tuoba family and use Tang Qingyue to form a marriage alliance. You know, Tang Qingyue is Dishi Lingfeng's fiancé. Even though she gave me the blood of extreme Yin, the Dishi family has already brought her back to the Dishi family. It's definitely not that simple for the Dishi family to marry Tang Qingyue to Tuobayu. Although Li Lingtian was anxious, he remained calm. This was because he had to solve the problem and he had to think of a solution before he could solve it. It was not his style to act rashly. Although he had no choice now, he had to take the initiative. Even if he was passive, he had to have a chance to resist. He couldn't just let the fish eat his own flesh. Then does Big Brother want to go? Ge was still the most direct. Facing such an unexpected situation, she didn't know what to do either and wanted to see how Ling Tian would resolve it. Of course, but you have to hide during this period of time. You can't go out casually. Without any hesitation, Li Lingtian looked at Qingling and Ge seriously. He could go alone. If too many people went, it would be a burden. If he was alone, even if he couldn't defeat them, he had a high chance of escaping. However, if he brought Ge and Qingling along, he would undoubtedly be courting death. Ge and Qingling could only nod. They wanted to help Li Lingtian. However, the powerful warriors of Dishi family were always martial emperors and martial venerables. If they followed them, they would only be a burden. Following that, Li Lingtian secretly sent the two of them away. They left Snowcloud City and settled down in an inconspicuous little city. As long as the two of them hid in the city, even gods would not be able to find them. After finishing everything, he quietly returned to Snow Cloud City and practiced all kinds of skills. He circulated his ice soul martial soul and calmed himself down. Vast Heaven City was the territory of Dishi family. The entire Vast Heaven City was known as the sixth largest city in the Azure continent. Dishi family was as powerful as the Green Mist City. Besides, Dishi family had a strong mountain range, which had a lot of natural resources. According to legend, the Vast Heaven Mountains were the ruins of the ancient battlefield. Although no one had seen any ruins in the Vast Heaven Mountains, countless experts knew about this legend. However, since Dishi family came here, no one dared to enter this place. This place had been designated as a forbidden area by Dishi family, and no outsiders dared to enter. Vast Heaven Great City had countless monster cores and materials. It was a place that countless experts of the Azure continent favored. Ever since Dishi family sent out the invitation letter, countless super forces in the Azure continent had sent their important figures to Vast Heaven City to participate in the marriage between Tuoba family and Dishi family. Countless experts had a look of dissatisfaction on their faces. This was because such a marriage alliance was nothing more than gathering wealth. The warriors who came to participate naturally gave gifts. Spiritual stones were naturally not allowed. They were all some rare treasures. In one go, Dishi family had gained a great amount of wealth. However, even if they were not convinced, they still had to go. Dishi family was a powerful family, and no one dared to provoke them. If they didn't come, they would offend Dishi family, and they would suffer in the future. For a time, countless flying ships and supreme experts flew through the air, their destination naturally being Vast Heaven City. As for Vast Heaven City, it was decorated with lanterns and streamers. The entire city was filled with a festive atmosphere. In Dishi family, in a mysterious underground world. Brother Tuoba, do you think that person really has a 5 elements martial soul? In the underground secret chamber, there were 7 powerful Supreme Realm experts sitting. Each of them had already reached the 7th level of the Supreme Realm. One of them was only at the 6th level of the Supreme Realm. However, the other 7th level Supreme Realm experts had respectful expressions when facing this 6th level Supreme Realm expert. Dishi Qingling, the current leader of the Dishi family, was the most powerful one except for the Supreme Elder, who was cultivating in seclusion. The 3 great elders had been in seclusion for 300 years, so the Dishi family didn't know what was happening to them. Brother Qingling, don't you believe me? I'm betting with the treasures passed down by our ancestors. As long as we succeed, we'll have a place in the entire divine martial continent, let alone the Azure continent. We've known for a long time. This person has the 5 elements martial soul. As long as we use him as a catalyst, we can open the battlefield ruins, hee. Tuoba Nan glanced at Dishi Qingling and smiled. Then, he laughed out loud, as if he had become the most powerful warrior in the divine martial continent. If that's the case, our 2 families can join forces and dominate the Azure continent and the divine continent. We can return to the divine continent. Dishi Qingling chuckled, thinking about how he had been forced out by the super forces of the divine continent back then. Tens of thousands of years had passed, but he had never had the chance to return to the divine continent. Li Lingtian had no idea that he had been targeted long ago. In front of the god's sealing tower, a devilish man was looking at Tang Qingyue, who was inside the tower, with a vicious look on his face. He was the eldest young master of the Dishi family, and the number 1 genius of the Dishi family. Humph, you asked for it. You betrayed me and gave the Yin blood to a piece of trash. Now, even if I don't want you, I'll add you to the Tuoba family, hee. Hee, it's said that Tabayu is extremely talented in that aspect. You'll be able to enjoy it when the time comes. Dishi Lingfeng said blandly, his face showing a vicious look. He had never thought that someone in this world would dare to betray him. Although the woman in front of him didn't give him the Yin blood, she was indeed a beauty that could topple a country. He couldn't bear to part with her. However, Tuobayu had taken a fancy to Tang Qingyue. He had somehow subdued a powerful warrior from his family and agreed to her request without caring about his face or the Dishi families. Shameless. Do you know that I regret it? Tang Qingyue felt so embarrassed when she heard Dishi Lingfeng's words, but now, she was furious. He actually used her to marry into the Tuoba family. What was the use of such a man no matter how powerful he was? After saying that, she stared at Dishi Lingfeng with her bright eyes. Seeing that Dishi Lingfeng did not say anything, she continued coldly, I've never regretted it, because you're worlds apart from him. You call him trash. He relied on himself to grow stronger step by step, while you're just a yes man who relies on your family. You're worse than trash. Tang Qingyue's face was filled with madness as she spoke. Her eyes were filled with determination as she bit down on her own tongue. Chapter 333, Chapter 333, Wedding, 1. Chapter 333, Wedding, 1. Whoosh. A gentle breeze blew past, and Tang Qingyue, who was in the god's sealing pagoda, was completely imprisoned. She could not move at all. Dishi Lingfeng saw that Tang Qingyue was about to commit suicide. How could he let her have her way? Putting aside the fact that he was going to lure Li Lingtian here, Tang Qingyue had to maintain the marriage between the Dishi family and the Tuoba family. If Tang Qingyue died, the relationship between Dishi family and Tuoba family would be broken. Is it that easy to die? I want you to see with your own eyes how I kill him and make him kneel before me and beg for mercy. Dishi Lingfeng said coldly with a vicious look on his face. He felt great imagining Li Lingtian begging for mercy on his knees. With that said, he turned around and left. He was waiting for the wedding to come when he would personally kill Li Lingtian and destroy his reputation. Watching Dishi Lingfeng leave, Tang Qingyue showed a trace of hatred on her face. She was not sure if Li Lingtian would show up, but she was worried that he would be taken advantage of by the Dishi family and Tuoba family. However, she was looking forward to Li Lingtian's arrival to prove that her past was definitely worth it. Days passed. Dishi family was decorated with lanterns and streamers. Countless super powerful warriors had arrived. On this day, thousands of warriors gathered in the square of Dishi family. Those who came here were all martial arts grandmasters and above. Moreover, each of them was a famous and powerful figure. They were either the elders of a clan or the helmsman of a sect. Those who could come here were all powerful warriors and families invited by Dishi family. On the wide square, there were thousands of tables. The more people sat at the front, the higher their status. At the front of the square was a huge platform. This platform was also used to announce support and was also the wedding venue for the bride and groom. Welcome to Dishi family, everyone. I am Dishi Yunqiu. Today is the wedding day of Tang Qingyue of Dishi family and Tuoba Yu of Tuoba family. Dishi family is really grateful that you have come to our family despite your busy schedule. Dishi Yunqiu said loudly. He was a 5th-level martial honored realm warrior, one of the top 10 most powerful warriors in Dishi family, and the host of this wedding. Congratulations, congratulations. Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, Miss Tang. Eldest young master and Miss Tang are a match made in heaven. They're really a match made in heaven. Instantly, countless experts congratulated him with smiles on their faces. Beside a table not far from the high platform, a young man dressed in a red robe had an arrogant smile on his face. His entire head was raised high, completely disregarding the experts who had arrived. Dishi Lingfeng was standing beside him. His face was calm, and he didn't even look at Tuobayu. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out in the sky. The queen, Yu Bufeng, has come to congratulate brother Dishi. A white-bearded old man flew over. His entire body carried a powerful aura. He was also a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert. One could imagine how powerful the Queen's palace was. As one of the 3 superpowers of the Azure continent, they naturally couldn't be too shabby. They had also sent a level 7 super expert over. Countless super experts' expressions changed drastically when they heard Yu Bufeng's name. Yu Bufeng was one of the 10 palace guards of the Queen's palace. His strength was terrifying and he had never been defeated in his life. They did not expect the Queen's palace to send Yu Bufeng over. This had truly exceeded the expectations of all the powerhouses. Not only him, but even the people from Dishi family and Tuoba family didn't expect that the Queen's palace would send Yu Bufeng here. Ha, brother Yu, you're here. Dishi family is honored to see you. Brother Yu, please take a seat. Dishi Yunqiu was startled when he saw Yu Bufeng. However, as a martial supreme, he reacted immediately and showed a delighted look on his face. Before he could react, there was another sound of air being torn apart. A huge blood-red python flew over. The python was at least 20 meters long, and its entire body erupted with terrifying demonic power. It was a 6th-tier 5th-level demonic beast, the Green Cloud Dragon. On top of the Green Cloud Dragon was a young man with a confident smile on his face. Lai Xia of the Wind Moon Palace, congratulations on the marriage between Dishi family and Tuoba family. The young man said loudly as he gently waved the fan in his hand. His elegant temperament made countless martial artists admire him. Tian Lai Xia, a 6th-level martial honored realm expert, was the 3rd prince of the Wind Moon Palace, one of the top 10 princes. He had not expected the Wind Moon Palace to send the 3rd prince to the Dishi family. House of Storms, when Yunfeng is here. At the same time that Lai Xia arrived, the super experts of the House of Storms also arrived. Moreover, the person who arrived was also a 6th-level martial honored realm expert. His strength was shocking. He carried a huge broadsword on his back, emitting violent sword chi. He ignored all the experts and walked straight to the front of the square. The arrival of the 3 superpowers made all the experts feel pressured. With the top-notch experts of these superpowers joining them, they really felt a little restricted. When Yunfeng was also the only son of the House of Storm's deputy house master. He was extremely talented. He had reached the 6th level of the Supreme Realm before he was even 200 years old. He was not inferior to the 3rd prince of the Wind Moon Palace. Ha, sirs, please take a seat. Dishi Yunqiu couldn't sit still anymore. Although the 3 super forces had given him invitations, they didn't expect him to come. Now, the three super forces had not only come, but also sent super powerful warriors at the 6th or 7th sky. Such a lineup was really out of Dishi family's expectation. The arrival of the three major powers had gathered almost all the major powers in the Azure continent. Even the Lan clan, Yi clan, and Dongling clan of Qinglan City had sent people to participate. Although the journey was long, these experts would only need a few days to use the mysterious teleportation array. However, the consumption was beyond imagination. After greeting all the powerful warriors politely, Dishi Yunqiu waited for the bride to come out. All the experts also built relationships with each other. After all, it was much better to be able to make friends with a supreme realm expert than to offend one. In an instant, countless experts were happily chatting. They enjoyed the delicacies while waiting for the wedding to begin. In Dishi family's God-sealing tower, Tang Qingyue's face was pale. He had never thought that he would one day reach such a stage without any freedom. "Miss, it's time to change." A maid walked into the God-sealing pagoda. Without the slightest bit of courtesy, she waved her hand and took out a jade bottle. Immediately, a red mist appeared and arrived in front of Tang Qingyue. Tang Qingyue's eyes were filled with unwillingness, but she was powerless and could only be manipulated. Although she was conscious, she could not control her thoughts and could only let the maid change her clothes. In just a moment, she was dressed in a bright red gown, a phoenix crown, and a rosy robe. Her face was covered in a faint red makeup, and her entire person was incomparably beautiful. Her beauty was enough to make people go crazy. It was noon, and countless experts were getting impatient. At this moment, a loud explosion sounded in the sky. Boom! Boom! A seven-colored light shot up into the sky. The light shot straight into the 9 heavens. Instantly, the entire Dishi family was turned into a colorful and beautiful world, stunning countless warriors. After 9 consecutive rings, the sound in the sky quieted down, but the colorful world did not show any signs of dissipating. As soon as she finished speaking, 9 beautiful maids floated out of the air. In the middle of them was a peerless woman wearing a phoenix crown and a red robe. The woman was incomparably beautiful. There were 9 maids behind her. All the experts were stunned when they saw the woman. They didn't expect such a beautiful woman to exist in this world. He couldn't help but feel happy for Tuobayu. To be able to marry such a woman, it was worth it even if he had to live a few hundred years less. Similarly, when Tuobayu saw Tang Qingyue arrive, his eyes widened. This was also the second time he had seen Tang Qingyue. The first time was when he accidentally saw her in front of the God-sealing pagoda. In the end, she begged her father to propose marriage. Now that her wish had finally come true and she was about to become his woman, how could she not be excited? He quickly walked towards the high platform with a smile on his face. "Now, I will preside over the wedding of Tuobayu and Tang Qingyue. I wish the two of you a long life together and love forever." Seeing Tang Qingyue, Dishi Yunqiu announced loudly. Instantly, countless powerful warriors below the stage burst into a round of applause. A series of beautiful music sounded, and the entire atmosphere was extremely happy. Tuobayu looked at Tang Qingyue in bliss. Only Dishi Lingfeng looked around with a confused look on his face. Countless warriors wondered why a girl surnamed Tang from Dishi family got married. Although many warriors knew about Dishi family, they didn't dare to talk about it. 2 crystal tears rolled down Tang Qingyue's face. Her life was ruined just like that. Wait. In the celebratory atmosphere, an extremely discordant voice sounded. All the warriors looked in the same direction and saw a young man in white walking on the road leading to Dishi family. The young man had a faint smile on his face. With his hands behind his back, he strolled over as if he was strolling in his own backyard. Alone, he merged with the world, forming a unique landscape. All the martial artists were stunned. Although this young man was far away, his martial emperor realm could still be seen through the test. A young martial emperor dared to stop the wedding between Dishi family and Tuoba family. Was this insane? Or was this young man crazy? Even the three superpowers wouldn't dare to do such a thing, let alone a young man. Who is this? He's so arrogant. Even if he's here to attend the wedding, he can't stop him. Isn't this courting death? A martial emperor actually came to cause trouble. However, this young man is also a rare genius. It looks like he's only 20 years old, but he's already a martial emperor. His future is limitless. You're simply courting death. All of a sudden, countless martial artists were discussing animatedly, attracted by this young man's actions. Only a few martial artists knew about this young man's background. However, when they saw this young man appear, they were all extremely curious. However, the expression on Tabayu's face turned extremely ugly. Chapter 334, Chapter 334, The Power of Celestial Phenomenon. Chapter 334, The Power of Celestial Phenomenon. In the square, the atmosphere of the wedding was originally joyous, but the appearance of this young man had become strange. The look on Dishi Lingfeng's face gradually turned crazy. The young man in the distance looked like a pretty boy. He was elegant and had an otherworldly temperament that was enough to make any woman in the world fall for him. No wonder Qingyue betrayed him. The anger in his heart gradually grew, and he wanted to tear this young man apart. The young man was naturally Li Lingtian. He walked toward the plaza step by step. Every step he took was steady and confident, making all the warriors feel impatient. This young man was actually walking so slowly. How long was he going to walk for? Do you have any objections? Finally, under the gaze of tens of thousands of powerhouses, Li Lingtian made his way to the center of the plaza. His eyes were fixed on the woman in the phoenix crown and rosy robe on the high platform in the distance. Tuobayu could not hold it in any longer as he asked Li Lingtian coldly. This young man had been staring at his wife who was about to marry. Wasn't this an insult? Scram, I'm not looking for you, I'm looking for him. She forcefully took away a disciple of my Sky Cloud sect. Now, he can't even protect his own woman. You are trash. Li Lingtian's words were like a clap of thunder that exploded in the plaza. He actually told Tuobayu to scram. Tuobayu was the #1 genius of the Tuoba family, a third-level Supreme Realm super expert. A martial emperor had actually humiliated Tabayu in front of all the super experts. Wasn't this courting death? Not only did he insult Tuobayu, but he also insulted Dishi Lingfeng. Instantly, countless warriors were confused and curious. Hearing this young man's words, there must be something interesting that they didn't know about. Moreover, they had never heard of Sky Cloud sect. Could it be a small sect? Damn it! Dishi Lingfeng was enraged. This was exposing his shortcomings. If all the powerful warriors knew about him, he would lose his face. With that said, he was about to fly up and kill Li Lingtian. This young man was truly detestable. It would be difficult to relieve the hatred in his heart if he did not kill him. Why? Are you worried that I will expose your shortcomings? She's a disciple of Sky Cloud sect in Sky Dragon Empire of Green Continent. You shamelessly took a fancy to her Yin body and wanted to get the Yin blood. Unfortunately, you didn't get it. You took her away, and now you married her to this trash as a member of Dishi family. Your cultivation base is trash, and your character alone makes you unfit to be a human being. Li Lingtian looked at the enraged Dishi Lingfeng. He too wanted to see what the ultimate powerhouse he had always looked up to was like now. After saying that, the faces of all the powerful warriors became extremely weird. Although they did not say anything, in Dishi Lingfeng's eyes, it seemed like these powerful warriors were laughing at him. He was instantly enraged. In a flash, he flew toward Li Lingtian and a destructive palm print pressed down on him. In the air, the force continued to tear apart. The destructive force tore apart the space above Li Lingtian. Seeing the power of the third level of martial honored realm, they were all shocked. They did not expect Dishi Lingfeng to obtain the third level of martial honored realm in such a short time. A martial emperor youth was directly crushed into ashes by a martial honors attack. However, what happened next stunned all the experts. Get lost. Li Lingtian did not even look at Dishi Lingfeng's attack. Instead, he waved his hand and a huge palm print was sent forward. The palm print did not have the slightest bit of power. It was like a flower without any true essence. Moreover, Li Lingtian's actions were like swatting a fly. Rumble. Just when all the warriors felt that Li Lingtian was courting death, a loud explosion was heard in the air. Li Lingtian's hand seal disappeared, but Dishi Lingfeng's attack was neutralized as well. His body was thrown backward. Shoo! All the super experts were shocked by this result. Although Dishi Lingfeng did not use his trump card, a furious attack from a third-level martial honored realm expert could severely injure even a first-level martial honored realm expert. However, he did not expect that this martial royal realm young man could send Dishi Lingfeng, who was at the third level of martial honored realm, flying with just a casual wave of his hand. Neither of them used their full strength in the attack, but Dishi Lingfeng was at a disadvantage. One don't like to be interrupted when I'm talking. Remember this next time. Li Lingtian's sharp gaze swept across all the powerhouses. Wherever his gaze passed, all the powerhouses felt a sense of oppression. This young martial emperor was actually so terrifying. No wonder he dared to come here to cause trouble. Yu Bufeng, Wen Yunfeng, and Lai Xia from the Wind Moon Palace were all extremely shocked. They did not expect this young man's strength to be so terrifying. His realm was completely different from his strength. Li Lingtian's gaze returned to Tang Qingyue. He saw two streams of tears rolling down her delicate face as she looked at Li Lingtian with a dazed expression. He didn't expect that he would really come to save him at this critical moment, regardless of the power of the Dishi family. She did not expect his strength to become so terrifying. In just 2 years, he had actually advanced from a warrior spirit to the realm of a martial emperor. Moreover, his strength was extremely terrifying. Even he did not dare to imagine it. But even so, they were still no match for Dishi family and Tuoba family. While he was excited, he was also worried about Li Lingtian. If something happened to Li Lingtian here, what would happen to his sister? She knew that the Tuoba family and the Dishi family were going to deal with Li Lingtian. She was anxious, but she could not say anything. Sister Qingyue, I'm here to pick you up. Come back with me. Li Lingtian walked forward step by step until he reached the bottom of the platform. He had a faint smile on his face, just like when he was in Sky Dragon Empire. However, it was no longer Sky Dragon Empire but the Azure Continent. Similarly, Li Lingtian was no longer the Li Lingtian of the past. He was now a powerful martial royal realm powerhouse. Tears rolled down Tang Qingyue's face, but she was smiling happily. However, she could neither speak nor answer Li Lingtian. What qualifications do you have? She is my wife. Get lost or I will kill you. Tuoba Yu was instantly enraged when he saw Li Lingtian's expression. How could he say such things to his wife in front of the world's strongest? Where did he put his face? When he spoke, the true essence in his body had already been circulated to the extreme, and he had a move to kill him. You still haven't learned your lesson. Do you think you're very powerful? But in my eyes, you're just as useless as him. Li Lingtian said coldly as he glared at Tuoba Yu. His aura slowly rose. All right. Today, I'll let you know what strength is. I'll make you kneel and beg for mercy. Tuoba Yu was furious. He was a genius and had always been high and mighty. In less than 200 years, he had already reached the third level of the martial honored realm. With such cultivation, he was definitely one of the top existences in the Azure Continent. Now, someone actually called him a good-for-nothing. Moreover, the person who called him was a young martial emperor. How could he accept such a thing? If he didn't kill him now, he would be traumatized for the rest of his life. After he finished speaking, his body flashed and his hands reached out into the air. A strange power began to rotate. This power was extremely strange. Even Li Lingtian had never seen such a force before. It was not the power of heaven and earth, nor was it a taboo for a martial honor. Tuobayu's expression was extremely sincere as he made a prostrating gesture with both hands. Immediately, a destructive force blasted toward Li Lingtian. He had just witnessed Li Lingtian sending Dishi Lingfeng flying with his own eyes. Although Dishi Lingfeng was careless, Li Lingtian's methods were strange and he dared not repeat the same mistake. Celestial phenomenon energy, suppress. With a soft shout, the energy between heaven and earth formed a light shadow. When it arrived before Li Lingtian, the space was torn apart. Countless powerhouses were shocked and they saw this terrifying power. A third-level martial honored realm expert could actually display such terrifying power. A genius was indeed a genius. The power of a level 3 was not inferior to a level 4. In fact, it was even stronger. Upon seeing this force, all the warriors turned their attention to Li Lingtian. They wanted to see what would happen to him. Li Lingtian's expression had calmed down as well. He extended his hands and a jade ruler appeared in his hands. Jade light ruler, break. Li Lingtian did not waste any time and immediately unleashed his inferior celestial weapon. His current skills were either earth-ranked or heaven-ranked divine powers. Regardless of whether it was an earth rank or a heaven rank, in his hands, their power was incomparably powerful. However, when facing a supreme realm expert, the earth rank was still useless. Only heaven-ranked divine powers could defeat the enemy. Now that the third-level supreme realm expert was the first to attack, he did not have time to use his skills. He used the jade light ruler and casually waved it, and the jade light ruler slashed down. A beam of dazzling light met the destructive force head-on. At the same time, Li Lingtian's body flashed and disappeared from his spot. Rumble. With a loud explosion, the earth trembled. All the experts felt the terrifying force tearing them apart. They hurriedly activated their protective shields to block the destructive force. The Jade Light Ruler was an inferior-grade celestial weapon, but Li Lingtian could barely withstand the attack of a martial honor. Li Lingtian had found an opportunity to leave after he was blocked. He floated in the air and raised his hands. Immediately, an aura of destruction and death erupted in the air. Two terrifying ultimate attributes appeared in his hands, and all the experts were terrified. Ice and Fire Martial Souls. All the powerhouses were stunned when they saw the attributes in Li Lingtian's hands. It was rare to see a dual martial soul of ice and fire in the Azure continent even in 10,000 years. They did not expect to see one here. The aura of space, destruction, and death grew stronger as Li Lingtian slowly put his hands together. At the instant his hands were clasped together, an aura of extermination soared into the sky, making all the martial artists feel the terrifying aura of extermination. The entire process seemed to take a long time, but it only lasted for 2 seconds. This period of time was exactly the time when Tabayu's attack was cancelled out. He looked at Li Lingtian in horror with a vicious look on his face. With a flip of his hand, another mysterious force appeared. Upon discovering Li Lingtian, all the warriors present cried out in alarm, their faces filled with horror. Chapter 335, Chapter 335, True Spirit Pearl. Chapter 335, True Spirit Pearl. All the experts felt the terrifying pressure, and their faces revealed horror at the same time. Light of Chaos. Countless super experts cried out in surprise. They all recognized this destructive aura because this force was the most powerful chaotic light of the Tuoba family. The Tuoba family was rumored to be a branch of an ancient family and a descendant of an ancient mighty family. This light of chaos had also been passed down from ancient times. However, Very few people could cultivate it, and no one had confirmed that the Tuoba family was a descendant of the ancient times. This was only a legend. But now, this Tabayu had actually easily used the light of chaos. It seemed that Tabayu had already obtained an ancient inheritance. The strength of an expert who obtained an ancient inheritance was far superior to those of the same level. Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically as well. Even though he had never seen the primal chaos light before, he had heard of it in legends. The power of the primal chaos light could be said to be one of the most powerful cultivation techniques from ancient times. But now, the ice, fire, 9 heavens had already been unleashed. It was already too late to launch another attack. Rumble. With a shocking explosion, the light pillar of ice/fire/9 heavens collided with the light of chaos. At the same time, all the experts shot out and looked at the center of the battle from afar. They also used their protective shields. They did not want to suffer the consequences. The collision of the two attacks formed a destructive halo in the center. The halo exploded and instantly, the entire square was covered in the halo. The destructive tearing power continued to tear through space. Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood as his mind was shaken. Although he knew how powerful the light of chaos was, he did not expect his third heaven of ice, fire, 9 heavens to be defeated. The extermination of the ice, fire, 9 heavens was his most powerful attack. After he reached the martial emperor realm, this killing move had been upgraded to the extreme. With one attack, even a martial honored realm expert could be killed instantly. However, this move was directly shattered in front of Tabayu. He was half squatting on the ground and supported himself with one hand, not letting himself lie down. His eyes were cold as he looked at Tuobayu's arrogant expression. I told you that you're trash, but you didn't believe me. Now you know. Kneel down and beg for mercy. I can spare your life. She is my wife, who do you think you are? Tuobayu defeated Li Lingtian in one move and looked at Li Lingtian with disdain. He reached out and pulled Tang Qingyue into his arms. His entire body was emitting a violent aura. Defeating Li Lingtian in one move in front of all the powerhouses had given him a great sense of pride. Seeing the horrified expressions of tens of thousands of powerhouses, he felt extremely pleased. Tang Qingyue could not put up any resistance. Her face turned pale when she saw Li Lingtian being injured. Li Lingtian could not even deal with Tabayu alone, let alone the powerful fighters from the Taba family. In fact, none of the Dishi family's fighters had made a move yet. By then, Li Lingtian would not be able to escape. Moreover, with the status of the Dishi family and the Tuoba family, they could easily wipe out Li Lingtian with just a word. Is that so? Do you think you can win just like that? Ha, you are too naive. In this world, the strong survive, and it is life and death. You are just a piece of trash that relies on your family. Since you want to fight, I will let you experience it. Dishi family, Tuoba family, I'm going to wipe them all out today. If you don't want to die, get lost. Li Lingtian slowly stood up with a crazed look on his face. He glared at the powerhouses around him. With a spin of his body, he floated up. His entire body emitted a shocking aura. The appearance of this aura caused the tens of thousands of experts to feel a wave of terror. Dragon Chi. That's right, it's dragon energy. This dragon Chi is so pure. Could it be that he was transformed from a dragon blood vein? I've really opened my eyes today. One is the light of chaos, and the other is the dragon Chi. All of a sudden, all the powerhouses retreated once again. They had already left the plaza and were looking at Li Lingtian from afar. Upon seeing Li Lingtian's aura, they could tell that it was the legendary dragon energy. However, there was no true dragon in the divine martial continent, let alone dragon energy. Unless the young man before them had a dragon blood meridian, there was no way he would have dragon energy. Roar! With a loud roar, a gigantic silver-winged flying dragon appeared beneath Li Lingtian's feet. The air was filled with a shocking pressure. Pressure was the pressure of demonic power. It was many times more powerful and terrifying than the pressure of human experts. Silver-winged flying dragon. A level 6, level 2 silver-winged flying dragon. I didn't expect someone to subdue a silver-winged flying dragon. This is a mutated silver-winged flying dragon. Look at this aura. It's completely the aura of the true dragon race. The appearance of the silver-winged flying dragon shocked all the experts. Moreover, when they discovered the aura of the silver-winged flying dragon, they were even more shocked. During Li Lingtian's cultivation, the silver-winged flying dragon had also advanced to become a powerful tier 6 level 2 existence. Ha! Do you think you can destroy my Dishi family with just this one beast? How ignorant! Dishi Lingfeng spoke up as well. This was the Dishi family. Tuobayu's battle with Li Lingtian in the Dishi family had already embarrassed him. Furthermore, he was sent flying by Li Lingtian with a single blow while Tabayu defeated Li Lingtian with a single move. Wasn't this a blatant slap in the face? It showed that he was inferior to Tabayu. He felt disgusted when he heard Li Lingtian say that he was going to wipe out the Dishi and Tuoba families. However, when he saw Li Lingtian summoning the silver-winged flying dragon, he laughed out loud. He thought that Li Lingtian was going to wipe out the Dishi and Tuoba families with the silver-winged flying dragon. Look at this. I hope you can still smile when the time comes. Li Lingtian extended his hand and a thumb-sized bead appeared in his hand. The bead was flickering with a faint spirit qi, which was obviously sealed. The pearl hovered in front of Li Lingtian and the air around him became a little oppressive. The pearl did not seem to have any power but it exuded a destructive aura. True spirit pearl. True spirit pearl. It's a true spirit pearl. A 4th-level martial honored realm super expert cried out in alarm. His face revealed a look of fear. His body flashed and he flew into the distance. He only stopped after he was 10 miles away from the square. Even the powerhouses who did not know the origin of Li Lingtian's pearl were shocked and they saw the level 4 powerhouse running away. They quickly retreated as well. For a moment, there were only a few people in the square. Brother Zhou, what is this true spirit pearl? That's right. Do you think a pearl can scare you like this? The 2 Supreme Realm experts asked curiously. A bead that had no power could actually make a 4th-level Supreme Realm expert so frightened. They were extremely curious and listened carefully. True spirit pearls. Legend has it that only one can appear in 1,000,000 years. This is a pearl that can condense spiritual energy for 1,000,000 years. The condensation of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The power of the self-destruction of the vermilion spiritual pearl, which has been condensed for 1,000,000 years, is enough to destroy a city. Even a 9th-level Supreme Realm expert will disappear in front of this true spiritual pearl. Zhou Haoqing still had a lingering fear. The fear on his face did not dissipate, but instead became even stronger. He had seen this bead in ancient books. The power of the bead was terrifying, but this was all a legend. He had never seen it before. However, he did not expect it to appear in the hands of this young man today. What is it? Can it destroy a city? Even a 9th-level Supreme Realm expert is going to vanish into thin air. Is that so terrifying? It only appears once every 1,000,000 years. How powerful must it be? All the experts were terrified. Looking at this pearl, it was as if they had seen the scythe of the Grim Reaper. He had never thought that this young man had such a terrifying thing. No wonder he dared to come to Dishi family to make trouble. He had been prepared for this. Tuobayu, Dishi Lingfeng, and the powerful warriors of Dishi family and Tuoba family all became serious. Facing the threat of death, no one could stay calm. I don't believe that this broken pearl of yours is so powerful. When Tabayu saw all the experts retreat explosively, he was also incomparably shocked in his heart. However, it was already too late. If the other party really detonated the pearl, this place would be destroyed. This peerless beauty would be gone, and his life would be lost. However, he did not believe that the bead in Li Lingtian's hand was so powerful. He merely saw it as a deterrent to Li Lingtian. What do you want? At this moment, Dishi Yunqiu opened his mouth, because he had also discovered how terrifying this pearl was. Inside it was a shockingly destructive power. Once it exploded, even if it couldn't destroy the 9 heavens, his Dishi family would be finished. Hand over my sister Qingyue and I will personally kill them. Li Lingtian said coldly. This was one of his trump cards. If he had no other choice, he would just let this true spirit pearl explode here. Although he would also be injured, he could still escape. No, I can. Dishi Lingfeng and Tuobayu spoke at the same time. When they saw Dishi Yunqiu lowering his head slightly, they knew that the pearl in Li Lingtian's hand was truly that powerful. However, it was absolutely impossible to take Tang Qingyue away. Before he could finish his sentence, his expression turned into one of shock and anger as Li Lingtian's body had mysteriously vanished into thin air. When he reappeared, Li Lingtian was already on the platform. With a single hand, he activated the divine dragon ring and was about to put Tang Qingyue into it. Dishi Lingfeng's body flashed as he threw a punch at Li Lingtian's back. The destructive force tore the space apart. At that moment, Tuobayu appeared at the same time and struck out at Li Lingtian with his palm. Naturally, he would not allow Li Lingtian to take Tang Qingyue away from him. If he did, he would lose face. Tang Qingyue's face was filled with fear and she saw the 2 destructive forces heading toward Li Lingtian. Her heart felt like it was about to be torn apart, but she could see the faint smile on Li Lingtian's face. Bang! Bang! 2 destructive attacks from a 3rd heaven revered martial artist struck Li Lingtian's defenseless body. Chapter 336, Chapter 336, God's Wrath and the Great Brahma Shield. Chapter 336, God's Wrath and the Great Brahma Shield. The destructive force bombarded Li Lingtian's body. Li Lingtian's heart jolted when his protective shield shattered. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as his face turned pale and powerless. She had withstood the attacks of 2 third-level Supreme Realm experts, but in exchange, Tang Qingyue had disappeared from the Divine Dragon Ring. All the martial artists watched as Tang Qingyue was swallowed by a ray of light. When Tang Qingyue disappeared, tears rolled down her face. At the same time, the powerful impact sent Li Lingtian flying off the platform before he fell to the ground and spat out another mouthful of blood. This scene caused all the experts to feel shocked. For a woman, he was actually willing to take the risk and resist the destructive attack of a Supreme Realm expert. There was actually such an infatuated man in this world. What shocked them even more was that Li Lingtian, a martial emperor, was only injured by the bombardment of 2 level 3 powerhouses. He did not vanish into thin air as they had expected. Facing such a powerful physique, even a demon cultivator would feel inferior. Roar! The silver-winged flying dragon let out a roar, and a shocking demonic power soared into the sky. Its huge wings erupted with destructive wind blades, and it directly bombarded the experts on the high platform. Rumble! With another burst of explosions, the high platform was directly destroyed, and all the people on it flew away. The wedding venue was a mess. The bride had been taken away by Li Lingtian and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. The moment the silver-winged flying dragon unleashed its attack, it grabbed Li Lingtian and was about to fly away. However, Dishi Lingfeng and Tuobayu darted over and launched a destructive attack with fury. Since you want to destroy it, I will let you destroy it. Blood trickled down Li Lingtian's lips as a crazed look appeared on his face. With a flick of his finger, the pearl in his hand shot out. Suddenly, a destructive pure spiritual energy erupted between heaven and earth. The spiritual energy exploded. Boom! Destruction, it was definitely destruction. On the square, a halo of spiritual energy spread out and exploded in all directions. Wherever the halo passed, everything turned into ashes. Countless experts who did not manage to escape in time were killed. In the blink of an eye, the entire square was devoid of life. Except for a few powerful palaces, everything else in Dishi family had disappeared. Hundreds of super-powerful warriors and the entire Dishi family were destroyed. Tuoba Yu and Dishi Lingfeng were also in a sorry state. A black light shield protected Tuoba Yu, and in front of Dishi Lingfeng was a weird hill, which allowed them to escape. However, the two of them were no longer as carefree as before. Instead, they were in a sorry state. Their clothes were tattered and they looked like beggars. Their faces were filled with viciousness and their anger was overflowing. They glared coldly at Li Lingtian, who was 20 miles away. Dishi family was destroyed. For a moment, all the powerful warriors remained silent. The scene was extremely weird. Li Lingtian, I'm going to tear you apart today. Good, very good. If I don't extract your soul and refine it today, my surname won't be Tuoba. Dishi Lingfeng and Tuoba Yu could not hold it in any longer. They channeled their inner Yuan to the maximum and dashed toward Li Lingtian. On one hand, his family was destroyed while on the other hand, his wife was taken away. Naturally, they would not let Li Lingtian off with such hatred. Then let's try. Li Lingtian groaned in his heart. He did not expect his opponent to react so quickly. He did not even have the chance to escape. He had wanted to escape but a strange force erupted in the air. The appearance of this force trapped him within. He immediately understood that this was the defensive formation of Dishi family. He had destroyed a part of Dishi family, but the real important parts of Dishi family were not destroyed. Now that the other party had also activated the defensive array, he could break this defensive array, but he needed time. Obviously, the other party would not give him time to break it. It was impossible for today's matter to be so easy to calculate. He was also in danger this time. After saying that, he activated all the Zhen Yuan in his body. The silver-winged flying dragon flashed across the air and flew towards Dishi Lingfeng. Having been with Li Lingtian for a long time, it knew that the situation was dangerous even without Li Lingtian's instructions. It must not allow two powerhouses to join forces against Li Lingtian. It would rather risk its life to keep one of them busy. The wrath of the gods. Without the slightest hesitation, Li Lingtian unleashed divine wrath from heaven. Instantly, the sky was filled with stars. During the day, strange stars actually appeared, instantly making the entire scene strange. These stars instantly gathered together, and a wave of thunder and lightning struck down. Heavenly might descended, bringing with it a destructive attack that smashed down on Tabayu. Crash. Boom. Rumble. Terrifying thunder and lightning bolts filled the area within 200 meters of Tabayu. Each bolt of lightning was the size of an arm and carried destructive power as it bombarded down. Such an attack was like the wrath of the heavens. After Li Lingtian became a martial emperor, he had cultivated the divine descending wrath to a deeper level. This way, his cultivation base would be more powerful in dealing small-scale attacks. The experts in the distance were shocked. They did not expect this martial emperor to use a heaven-grade divine power. The power of a heaven-grade divine power was not as trashy as an earth-grade divine power. A supreme realm expert could control one or two techniques and look down on everyone. A martial monarch realm expert could not control a heaven-grade divine power at all. Now, not only did this young man control a heaven-grade divine power, but the attacks he used should also be mysterious heaven-grade divine powers. Otherwise, they would not be so terrifying. Great Brahma Shield. Tuoba Yu did not expect Li Lingtian to be able to unleash such a terrifying skill at this time. Furthermore, it was a heaven-tier divine ability. In the past, when he was a martial emperor, he was already invincible when he was able to cultivate a heaven-grade divine power. But now, it seemed that this martial emperor was even stronger than him. The fear on his face was extremely ugly. He used his divine sense and a palm-sized shield appeared. The shield emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. This aura was ancient, and when countless people saw this shield, their eyes revealed greed. The great Brahma shield is a peerless heavenly artifact. I didn't expect to find a shield that's a supreme-grade celestial artifact. If I have this shield, as long as I don't encounter a terrifying supreme martial honor, no one in the same level can break it. That's right. The Tuoba family is indeed not simple. They can even casually take out such a heaven artifact. For a moment, countless super experts were discussing. The lightning in the sky was still constantly bombarding. Li Lingtian's expression turned grave. He had killed Tang Yunfei in one strike when he met him previously. Although Tang Yunfei was only a second heaven-revered martial artist, Li Lingtian's current strength was not something he could compare to back then. Moreover, according to the comparison, he was several times stronger than the last time. With his current cultivation strength, he should be able to kill a 5th-level Supreme Realm expert. However, he seemed so powerless against a 3rd-level Supreme Realm expert like Tuobayu. Crash. Following the final explosion, Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. Against the opponent's defense, the descending divine wrath was completely useless. This was the difference in tier. At the same time, the silver-winged flying dragon was also heavily wounded by Dishi Lingfeng. Shu. Li Lingtian's expression gradually calmed down as he circulated his true essence to the maximum. A terrifying sword will burst forth in the air. The sword intent filled the entire space. The sharp sword intent destroyed the minds and wills of countless experts. The surviving Supreme Realm experts present were all extremely powerful. However, when they felt the sword intent in the air, their expressions changed drastically. Li Lingtian's sword will burst out from his body and shook the space inch by inch. He floated in the air with his eyes slightly closed. The cold sword intent made him look even colder. He was like a sharp sword standing proudly between heaven and earth. A man was like a sword, sharp and unyielding. Sword intent, terrifying sword intent. Is he still human? He has ice and fire martial souls, and now he has cultivated sword intent. This sword intent is so domineering. No, it's the heavenly sword physique. He has the heavenly sword physique. Heavenly sword body. The legendary most domineering sword cultivator, the heavenly sword body, controls the myriad swords in the world. He's a monster. Let's not talk about the ice and fire martial souls. He also has the heavenly sword physique. Comparing people is infuriating. When Li Lingtian's sword will was unleashed, some people could immediately tell that Li Lingtian had the heavenly sword physique. Dishi Lingfeng and Tuobayu sensed the destructive sword intent, and listened to the discussions of the other powerful warriors. They were jealous. They couldn't let this young man live, or else he would be a threat in the future. In their eyes, they were the #1 genius in the world. How could they tolerate someone stronger than them? Sword howl, heaven and earth. Li Lingtian extended his hand and the Tianyu sword appeared in his hand. Instantly, a shocking pressure burst forth. This pressure was the pressure of a saint weapon. It directly crushed countless experts. All the experts could no longer hold it in. There was no way to describe it with shock. Not only was he talented, but he had also used a saint weapon. What kind of concept was this? Tuobayu could not sit still either. He cast a spell and augmented the great Brahma shield. In the blink of an eye, it had only taken 3 to 4 seconds for Li Lingtian to prepare his sword howl to the heavens and earth before his divine advent was rendered ineffective. By the time Tuobayu reacted, it was already too late. He could only reinforce the supreme heavenly weapon, the great Brahma shield, in hopes that it could withstand Li Lingtian's sacred weapon. Li Lingtian slowly opened his eyes and looked at the Tianyu sword seriously as if he was looking at his own kin. Then, he swung his sword without leaving a trace. Even the traces of the sword whistling through the heavens and the earth had disappeared, and in exchange, it was replaced by the power of the heavens and the earth. Force? How is that possible? How can he control Shi? Sword force? Oh my god, he actually managed to control the sword aura. Sword intent is nothing in front of the sword aura. This time, there's going to be a good show. The Queen's Palace's Yu Buffon cried out in surprise for the first time. As a 7th-level martial honored realm super powerhouse, he had a wide range of knowledge. However, he could no longer remain calm after witnessing Li Lingtian's swordplay. Although the other martial artists did not understand, they knew how powerful Shi was. They were all stunned for a moment, watching the sword light in the space gently slash down. Chapter 337, Chapter 337, Sakra Heavenly Sword. Chapter 337, Sakra Heavenly Sword. The cloud was formless, the wind was unfixed, and the sword aura was the same. One could not see the slightest bit of power. Li Lingtian swung his sword down lightly. All the warriors were confused as the sword did not carry any power. However, Tabayu's eyes were filled with fear. He felt that the destructive power of this sword was something that he could not withstand. Sword, quick! The sword was sharp. The speed of the sword was so fast that it exceeded the sight of the martial artists. In an instant, the sword momentum had already landed on the great Brahma shield. The gazes of all the martial artists also shifted to Tuobayu. Crash! Hiss! The sword aura landed on the great Brahma shield. The great Brahma shield, which was known as a peerless heavenly weapon, was split into two in front of the sword aura. At the same time, Tabayu was also split into two by the sword aura. A tearing sound rang out as Tabayu's entire body was pulverized by the sword light. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the world. Instantly, thousands of experts were stunned when they saw this scene. This was a monstrous expert at the 3rd level of the martial honored realm. His strength was not inferior to the 5th level of the martial honored realm at all. However, such an expert was destroyed by a sword. Whoosh! A great commotion arose. Except for the sounds of the battle between the silver-winged flying dragon and Dishi Lingfeng, all other warriors and everything in the air were frozen. At that moment, Dishi Lingfeng could not help but be shocked. He flashed and gave up on the silver-winged flying dragon. Instead, he hovered in the air and looked at Li Lingtian from afar. The silver-winged flying dragon had been beaten by Dishi Lingfeng and was covered in wounds. Now that Dishi Lingfeng had left, it could finally catch its breath. In a flash, it came to Li Lingtian's side. Tuobayu, the #1 genius of the Tuoba family, was actually killed just like that. Countless experts felt like they were hallucinating, unable to accept the reality in front of them. This was also the reason why Dishi Lingfeng gave up on the silver-winged flying dragon. Li Lingtian's strength was beyond his imagination. If he did not leave, he would not be able to withstand Li Lingtian's attack. In the air, Li Lingtian's mouth was stained with blood as he scanned his surroundings in search of the space formation. He couldn't stay in this place for long. By now, the top-grade powerful warriors of Dishi family and Tuoba family hadn't shown up yet. There must be some conspiracy. If he stayed here, he would not have the slightest chance. Dishi Lingfeng, I will let you live for a few days today, and then I will take your life. Li Lingtian said coldly. His entire body exuded an icy aura and his gaze was extremely cold. All the warriors remained silent as they watched Li Lingtian's actions. They were feeling a little fearful of this young martial emperor. Sacrifice. He summoned the divine array diagram and waved his hands continuously. Li Lingtian's face was filled with anxiety as a strange sense of danger struck his heart. Destroy my Dishi family? Do you want to leave just like that? Is there such a simple thing in this world? A faint voice sounded. The voice was ethereal and uncertain, and no one knew where the source was. Furthermore, the voice carried a supreme pressure that made Li Lingtian's heart tremble. Just the voice alone had brought him a strong sense of oppression. He wondered just how powerful the owner of the voice was. All the experts were surprised. They were obviously curious about the owner of this voice. In the air, an old man with white hair and beard appeared strangely. The old man's arrival did not even cause the slightest spatial fluctuation in the air. It was as if the old man had been there all along. Li Lingtian's heart skipped a beat when he saw the old man's movement technique and cultivation base. The old man's face was calm. Even when facing the destruction of the Dishi family, he did not show any anger. Instead, he looked at Li Lingtian with a calm expression. Sakra Heavenly Sword. A super powerful warrior from Dishi family. 7th level Supreme Realm. The most powerful being under the Supreme Elders of Dishi family. For a moment, some of the super experts recognized this old man. When they discovered the old man's appearance, they were incomparably shocked. This Sakra Heavenly Sword was a legend of the Dishi family. Ever since it had been created, it had never been defeated. It was extremely powerful. When he was at the 3rd level of the Supreme Realm, he had already killed a 5th level Supreme Realm expert. Now that he had reached the 7th level, his strength was even more domineering. More importantly, the Sakra Heavenly Sword was born with a sword, and its cultivation in the sword path was unparalleled. This was also the key reason why he was invincible among his peers. Everyone, I've made a fool of myself. After the Sakra Sky Sword showed up, he cupped his hands towards the powerful warriors in the distance and showed a faint smile on his face. Dishi family was indeed embarrassed by such a thing. Even if he wanted to kill this young man, he had to greet the other powerful warriors who came to congratulate him, and some of them were people that his Dishi family couldn't afford to offend. When all the powerhouses saw the Sakra Heavenly Sword appear, it was as if they had seen the result. Sakra Heavenly Sword was the true powerhouse. 7th heaven, even if the 8th or 9th heaven came, they might not be able to kill him. Li Lingtian, right? As long as you kneel and beg for mercy, I can spare your life. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Sakra Sword's gaze landed on Li Lingtian. A hint of surprise flashed across his face, but no one noticed it. Even though he was a 7th level Supreme Realm expert and had unparalleled strength, the young martial emperor in front of him was even more terrifying. He was much stronger than him back then. He had witnessed Li Lingtian's strength just now. However, he was unable to leave the place for the time being. Otherwise, he would not have watched his Dishi family be destroyed. It's your little grandpa. Who do you think you are? What an old fart. You still dare to act tough in front of me? I think you're just an idiot. None of the Dishi family members are normal. You're just a bunch of idiots. Li Lingtian looked at the Sakra Heavenly Sword and felt his heart palpitate. The old man was also a sword principle expert and his sword principle cultivation was much stronger than his. What else could he say when he encountered such an opponent? Instead of cowering, it was better to take advantage of it first. Otherwise, when he was killed, he would not have any benefits at all. Now, he had no choice but to give up. Although he was like this, the other powerhouses were shocked beyond words. Dishi Tianjian's expression changed drastically. He was originally calm, but now that he had met Li Lingtian, he could not help himself. Alright, you're courting death. You can't blame me. Today, not even God can protect you. Sakra Heavenly Sword said indifferently. He swept his gaze around and his aura surged. It meant that he did not put Li Lingtian in his eyes at all. Killing a 7th level Supreme Realm Martial Emperor was nothing more than killing an ant. When the news got out, he wouldn't feel ashamed of eliminating a Martial Emperor. In this place, no one dared to offend Dishi family and Tuoba family. Even the 3 super forces wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Moreover, the powerhouses from the 3 major factions had received news some time ago that there was a rift between them and Li Lingtian. Now, apart from the three major factions, no one else could protect Li Lingtian. However, just as he finished speaking, a faint voice sounded. Is Dishi family that great? The voice was sweet and crisp, making countless warriors feel a wave of comfort. They looked behind and saw a young girl slowly walking over. The young lady's expression was calm, completely ignoring the thousands of experts in the air. When Li Lingtian heard the voice, his heart skipped a beat before he smiled bitterly. Who is it? Sakra Heavenly Sword was stunned. In the Azure continent, other than the three super forces, who else would dare to say such words? The super experts of the three major forces were all in the air and had no intention of speaking. Now that a young girl had come and actually said such words, it made him feel a wave of curiosity. Moreover, his expression became gloomy. He was a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert, but he was actually provoked by a young girl. What happened next shocked all the powerhouses, including Li Lingtian. The young lady arrived at the edge of the square and completely ignored the existence of the array formation as she walked in step by step. They all knew that the defensive formation of Dishi family was extremely powerful, and even a holy formation master might not be able to break it. But now, this array formation actually failed in front of this young girl. Li Lingtian had the divine array diagram and he was quite knowledgeable about arrays. Naturally, he knew how powerful this array was. If he was given enough time, he should be able to break it within half an hour. However, Huangfu Yuyan had ignored the array's existence. How could he not be shocked? Indeed, this young lady was Huangfu Yuyan, who was thrown out of the spaceship by Li Lingtian. He didn't want to know why Huangfu Yuyan had come here, but he wanted to know who she was. How dare she come to Dishi family and ignore the formation of Dishi family? There was an uproar. No one spoke anymore, and their expressions were extremely strange. Dishi Tianjian's face changed even more. He had seen so many strange things today. This Prince Huangfu, do you want to know this prince's name? Huangfu Yuyan walked step by step to the center of the square. Her eyes glanced at the Sakra Heavenly Sword in disdain, just like an elder looking down on a trash disciple. Huangfu. The Sakra Heavenly Sword was instantly stunned by Huangfu Yuyan's gaze. It had never encountered such a gaze before. However, the gaze that this young girl was looking at it with now made it feel like it was an illusion. This illusion was very strange and could not be described at all. His heart kept spinning, but he couldn't think of a family like the Huangfu family. Moreover, looking at this young girl, she only said the word Huangfu, as if the word Huangfu represented everything. More importantly, this young girl called herself Bengong. Only those transcending existences could call themselves Bengong. Huangfu. The other powerful warriors were also confused. If Huangfu Yuyan hadn't ignored the formation of Dishi family, they would have thought that she was a liar. However, he didn't expect that the Huangfu clan in the Azure continent would be so powerful. Could it be? Yu Bufeng immediately cried out in alarm. His expression became extremely ugly as his entire body trembled with fear on his face. Chapter 338, Chapter 338, 10 Great Martial Saints. Chapter 338, 10 Great Martial Saints. All the experts' attention shifted to Yu Bufeng. Seeing Yu Bufeng's expression, they were all puzzled. Could it be that these two words had such a great deterrent force? Even Sakra Heavenly Sword did not say anything. Li Lingtian was still in the Dishi family's formation. He was nothing but an ant in front of him. Brother Yu, do you know her background? Lai Xia could not help but ask Yu Bufeng when he saw his current state. His eyes were intentionally looking at Huangfu Yuyan. Li Lingtian's face was filled with curiosity, but he was more worried that anyone who was related to him would be enemies of the Dishi family and the Tuoba family. By then, even Huangfu Yuyan would not be able to leave. In the Divine Martial Continent, the Divine Continent is the strongest, the Green Continent is the weakest, and Penglai is the most mysterious. There's no need to talk about the Green Continent. Compared to the Azure Continent, the power of the entire Green Continent is not even comparable to a small city in the Azure Continent. However, the Azure Continent is only at the end of the tail and is stronger than the Green Continent. However, compared to the Divine Continent, the Azure Continent is just a small ant. In the powerful Divine Continent, there are countless martial supremes and martial emperors. There are even martial saints. However, the strongest ones are the 10 great martial saints. Among the 10 great martial saints, there is a heaven's favorite, Huangfu Yuyan of the Huangfu clan. Yu Bufeng's face was filled with fear. He didn't dare to look at Huangfu Yuyan in the eye. He quietly told her the secret he knew. This wasn't the Divine Continent, but in front of a martial saint, he was extremely afraid. All of a sudden, the expressions of all the experts changed. When they looked at Huangfu Yuyan, they became respectful. Even if this young lady was not a martial saint, she was still related to the Huangfu clan. If he offended a family with a martial saint, wouldn't he be courting death? Li Lingtian was shocked as well. When he recalled everything, he realized that this fearless young lady was actually from the Huangfu clan of the Divine Continent. Among the 10 martial saints, the youngest is Huangfu Yuyan. She is the only girl among the martial saints and is also a famous peerless beauty in the Divine Continent. However, very few people have seen this powerful martial saint. Yu Bufeng spoke out calmly. By now, he had already guessed the identity of the young girl in front of him. Even if his guess was wrong, it was not far from it. This was because when he spoke, this young lady had a proud expression on her face. However, this proud expression was filled with disdain. Since she was a member of the Huangfu family, she would definitely worship and respect the martial saint of her family. However, this young lady's expression was obviously filled with disdain. The only explanation was that this person was the real person. Only in this way could one be proud, but there could also be disdain in their pride. When others praised them like this, super geniuses would usually ignore them because they knew that they could do better. Now that he had already said it, even if he offended this martial saint and was killed, he could only be slaughtered by others. 10 great martial saints of the Divine Continent. A martial saint. The legendary martial saint has the ability to reach the heavens and earth. The Divine Continent is indeed powerful. The Azure Continent doesn't even have a martial monarch realm expert, but the Divine Continent has a powerful martial monarch realm expert. Could it be her? That's impossible. When she entered the array just now, did you see that the array had any effect on her? All of a sudden, the entire Dishi family was in a heated discussion. He didn't expect that this young man and the Dishi family had involved the martial saints. He wanted to curry favor with the powerful warriors of Dishi family, but now he had to consider the anger of the martial saints. Many experts had already regarded this young lady as the spokesperson of the Huangfu clan. Why are you here? Did I tell you not to come until I die? Get lost. This young master's matter has nothing to do with you. Li Lingtian looked at Huangfu Yuyan and was shocked. Could this young lady be the martial arts student from the Huangfu clan? However, that was impossible. How could a martial saint appear in the Azure Continent? Furthermore, this young lady didn't have any cultivation at all. Even if she was pretending, he would be able to tell. If he did not have the eye of the divine soul in the past, he definitely would not have been able to see through a martial artist's cultivation. However, now that he had the eye of the divine soul, he could see through some of the experts who were hiding their cultivation. Huangfu Yuyan was definitely not a martial saint. If she was not a martial saint, she would only die if she came to Dishi family. Unless Huangfu Yuyan was a 9th level Supreme Realm expert, she could forget about doing whatever she wanted in the Azure Continent. His heart was filled with excitement and gratitude. He had placed Huangfu Yuyan hundreds of millions of miles away from Snowcloud City, but he hadn't expected to find her here. Moreover, Huangfu Yuyan had come to Dishi family, obviously to help him. Although he was excited and touched, this place was not a place to be touched because it was filled with experts. As he spoke, he turned his head to the side, no longer looking at Huangfu Yuyan. He was not a heartless person, and at this moment, he actually had to say something like this. It was a little hard for him to say it. Now, he could only be a little more thick-skinned. Otherwise, both of them would die in this place. Do you think that by throwing this queen far away, this queen will not know your goal? When you entered Snowcloud City, this queen was already waiting for you there. After this matter, this queen will settle the score with you. You actually dared to put this queen aside. You really are courting death. Huangfu Yuyan did not feel the slightest bit of anger when she heard Li Lingtian telling her to scram. Instead, she felt a sense of warmth because she knew that Li Lingtian did not want to implicate her. However, even though she wasn't angry, all the other experts were stunned. She actually dared to tell the Huangfu clansmen to scram. She was really tired of living. However, when they saw Huangfu Yuyan's appearance, all the experts felt as if a fly had entered their throats. He couldn't adapt to such a scene at all. Sakra Heavenly Sword, right? After Huangfu Yuyan finished speaking, she looked at the Sakra Heavenly Sword in the air and said calmly. The expression on her face did not change at all. When he shouted out the Sakra Heavenly Sword, he sounded like he was calling out to a servant. May I know how I should address you, fairy? Sakra Sky Sword was also stunned by Yu Bufeng's words. If this girl was from the martial saint family, the Dishi family could not afford to offend her. Even if the Dishi family became powerful, they couldn't produce a single martial saint in hundreds of years. Even if a martial saint appeared, he couldn't become one of the top 10 martial saints. Don't tell me Bengong still has to raise her head to talk to you. Huangfu Yuyan's voice was extremely sweet, but in the ears of these supreme experts, it was like a soul-stirring voice. Because this young girl's background was not simple, her words made people feel a sense of fear. As Huangfu Yuyan's voice fell, all the cultivators were stunned. If they were to face a martial saint, wouldn't they be courting death if they stood above a martial saint? Instantly, all the martial artists descended like dumplings, but they did not dare to leave or approach. Take this. Huangfu Yuyan did not answer the Sakra Heavenly Sword. She only stretched out her hand and took out a token. The token directly flew towards the Sakra Heavenly Sword. Dishi Tianjian's face showed a serious look. He carefully caught the token, then his face changed drastically, as if he had seen a ghost. Following that, his gaze swept across all the martial artists before finally landing on Yu Bufeng. Brother Yu, this little brother has poor eyesight. Please take a look. Sakra Heavenly Sword shouted loudly, and his tone was even pleading. Countless experts were puzzled when they saw this scene. A token was able to make the expression of the 7th-layered Sakra Heavenly Sword change so much. Just what was in this token? They were all incomparably curious. Yu Bufeng was also stunned. In a flash, he arrived at the edge of the array. However, just as he arrived outside the array, he was bounced off by a destructive force. Yu Bufeng was a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert, but in front of this array, he was bounced off before he could even attack. One could imagine how powerful this array was. It seemed that even the attacks of a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert would not be able to affect this array at all. It was precisely because of this that this young lady had ignored this array formation. This caused all the experts to be shocked. Yu Bufeng was about to fly into a rage, but Dishi Tianjian had a guilty look on his face. Waving his hand, he activated the formation and let Yu Bufeng in. He also understood in his heart that the power of this array had not weakened at all. Even a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert could not enter, but this girl had come in. This girl's cultivation must be so profound that the array was ignored. The more he thought about it, the more worried he was. His Dishi family had been destroyed by Li Lingtian in front of countless powerhouses. However, if this young lady were to make a move, the Dishi family would have no choice but to give up. Not only would Dishi family lose face, but they would also become the laughing stock of the powerful warriors of the Azure continent. Tuobayu had fallen, and this had something to do with Dishi family. By then, the relationship between the two families might not be able to last. Yu Bufeng came in front of the Sakra heavenly sword and stretched out his hand to receive the token. His eyes sized it up carefully. Immediately, the expression on his face changed drastically. All the experts were even more curious. Li Lingtian remained silent at the side with a calm expression on his face. However, he was also shocked in his heart. Who was Huangfu Yuyan exactly? A single token could cause the expressions of two level 7 powerhouses to change. Huangfu Yuyan. Yu Bufeng's heart trembled continuously. His body trembled as he read out the 4 words on the token. The token was a transparent jade token, but on one side were the words Huangfu. On the other side were the words Yuyan. This token belonged to Huangfu Yuyan. Huangfu Yuyan was one of the 10 great martial saints of the divine continent. In this world, no one dared to use the word Huangfu alone. Even the Huangfu clan did not have the qualifications to do so. There were no more than 4 people in the Huangfu clan who could use the word Huangfu. Huangfu Yuyan was one of them. Moreover, this young girl called herself Ben Gong, so her identity was definitely not simple. Now that she connected it to this token, the doubts in her heart instantly disappeared, but her heart trembled even more. Martial Saint Huangfu Yuyan. This voice immediately shook the hearts of all the experts. Their expressions changed drastically as they looked at Huangfu Yuyan with respect. Chapter 339, Chapter 339, Martial Saint Huangfu Yuyan. Chapter 339, Martial Saint Huangfu Yuyan. Li Lingtian could not believe this. How could Huangfu Yuyan be one of the 10 great martial saints of the divine continent? This little girl is one of the 10 martial saints of the divine continent. If that's the case, I'm a martial god. A while ago, he had molested her and even turned her into a maid. Moreover, he had even thrown her out of the spaceship. What kind of F***ing luck did he have to treat a martial saint like this? However, his expression did not change at all. He did not even look at Huangfu Yuyan. Who cares if you are a martial saint? A maid is a maid. At most, you will die. What can you do to me? Thinking of this, he felt much more relaxed. Greetings, Fairy Huangfu. Greetings, Fairy Yuyan. Immediately, the sound of worship rang out. Countless martial artists bowed respectfully. This was a martial saint. Super geniuses all reached a super high realm when they were 15 or 16 years old. Their age and appearance remained the same when they were 15 or 16 years old. This Huangfu Yuyan looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, but she was a super martial saint. In front of a martial saint, a supreme realm expert was not even comparable to an ant. With a wave of his hand, a large number of supreme realm experts died. With a stomp of his foot, the world collapsed. Sakra heavenly sword was completely stunned. How did this young man have a relationship with the martial saint? Moreover, looking at this young man's appearance, he did not care about Huangfu Yuyan at all. This world was really F***ing messed up. The martial saint that everyone was afraid of was acting like a little girl in front of a martial emperor. Was this not fate playing a trick on him? Was he deliberately playing with him? For a moment, the square fell silent. There was no sound at all. It was terrifyingly quiet. In the secret underground room of Dishi family, the 5 super powerful warriors had their faces twisted as well. They had seen everything that was happening outside. Especially Tuoba Nan. He had seen his son being killed with his own eyes, but he couldn't take revenge. Under their feet was a magical array altar, the 8 trigrams array altar. It emitted a destructive aura, but this aura was concealed by a mysterious light. Brother Tuoba, what should we do this time? The 10 great martial saints of the divine continent are here. If we don't go out, it won't make sense. Besides, this matter involves the 10 great martial saints. If we let Li Lingtian go, where will the Dishi family put our face? Tuoba Yu's death will be in vain. Dishi Qingling showed a bitter smile. This time, no matter how much he had calculated, he had never expected a martial saint to appear. This was definitely an accident. In their calculations, even if the three major forces were to make a move, they would risk offending the three major forces to deal with Li Lingtian. As Li Lingtian was the catalyst for this expedition, he would be able to dominate the Azure continent and perhaps even the Divine Martial continent once he obtained the treasure inside. However, now that a martial saint had appeared, even if he had obtained a treasure, he would not be a match for a martial saint. If he wanted to dominate, he had to ensure the existence of his family. But now, Dishi family was facing the wrath of a martial saint. Wasn't this pushing Dishi family to the edge of death? Don't worry, brother Qingling. This matter won't stop us from advancing. Hee, and this might be our chance. Er's revenge shall be paid with their blood. If I don't kill Li Lingtian, I. Tuoba Nan, swear I'm not a human. Tuoba Nan looked at a crystal in the stone room. Everything outside could be seen from the crystal. Tuoba Nan looked at Li Lingtian's figure in the crystal and his eyes were bloodshot as if he wanted to swallow the young man alive. As he spoke, he gritted his teeth and his expression became distorted. Brother Tuoba, what do you mean? Brother Tuoba, are you crazy? Huangfu Yuyan is one of the 10 great martial saints. Even if there are many of them, just the cultivation of a martial saint is not something that any expert in the Azure continent can fight against. Even if our Dishi family and your Tuoba family join hands, we won't be able to defeat him. Dishi Qingling was shocked. Hearing that Tuoba Nan was going to kill Huangfu Yuyan as well, he was shocked to the extreme. Has this Tuoba Nan lost his mind because his son was killed? A martial saint was not someone that a martial honor could deal with. No matter how many martial honor experts there were, they would not be able to kill a martial saint with a single palm strike. His Dishi family had been destroyed. This hatred was no less than Tabayu's death. Even he himself was not in a daze, but this Tuoba Nan was. Brother Qingling, don't worry. Look at Huangfu Yuyan's cultivation. She's only a martial king. Why is that? This is because Huangfu Yuyan is cultivating her state of mind. If she wants to break through to a higher realm and reach above the martial monarch realm, cultivating her heart is the most important. Huangfu Yuyan's appearance in the Azure continent this time is to temper her heart. Because there's no one she knows here, she can hide and temper her heart. When the time comes, she can smoothly charge towards a higher realm. We can use this opportunity to kill both of them. Who knows if the two outside families will kill Huangfu Yuyan? The Azure continent and the Divine continent are far apart. Only the invincible martial saint can cross the border. Other warriors can't cross it at all. So we don't have to worry about these things spreading to the Divine continent. Tuoba Nan slowly explained, and the expressions of the 5 supreme experts instantly became calm. If that was the case, they could take a risk this time. He had to take a risk. If he didn't, this martial saint would wipe out the Dishi family. Instead of that, he might as well take a risk. After that, a few super experts began to discuss through voice transmissions. In a moment, their faces revealed crazy expressions. In the square, all the martial artists felt the oppressive aura, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Sakra Heavenly Sword, this prince wants to see how you handle this matter. If you want to eliminate the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild and a Tier 7 pill saint, that's your business. Huangfu Yuyan's expression remained calm but she was extremely anxious. She stared coldly at the Sakra sword and glanced at Li Lingtian from the corner of her eyes. However, Li Lingtian stood rooted to the ground like a block of wood. Fairy Yuyan, this matter. We can't just let this go. Is our Dishi family going to be destroyed just like this? The Sakra Heavenly Sword was stunned and did not know how to answer for a moment. If he let it go, he would lose the face of Dishi family, and if he continued like this, he would definitely offend this martial saint. Just as he was halfway through his words, a light voice interrupted him. All the experts looked in the direction of the voice. 5 super experts appeared in the air. 4 of them were at the 7th level of the Supreme Realm, and 1 was at the 6th level of the Supreme Realm. Such a group was indeed powerful. However, considering Huangfu Yuyan's identity and cultivation base, they didn't think much of Dishi family's powerful warriors. No matter how many Supreme Realm experts there were, even 109th level Supreme Realm experts would not be a match for a martial saint. All the super powerful warriors were shocked. Had Dishi family and Tuoba family gone mad? If they didn't show respect to the martial saints, they would be pushed to the edge of destruction. Huangfu Yuyan's expression changed, but she quickly calmed down. Li Lingtian noticed the change in Huangfu Yuyan's expression. He knew that something bad must have happened. Otherwise, there must be something or a secret that he was unaware of, since the few revered martial artists dared to come out and face the warrior sage powerhouses. Regardless of which, it would not benefit him at all. Dishi family, how arrogant. When Huangfu Yuyan saw the 5 experts appear, she paused for a moment and said indifferently. Her eyes looked at the few Supreme Realm experts. The state of mind of a martial saint was extremely powerful. Even if his current cultivation was not high, it was not something that a few Supreme Realm experts could suppress. The 10 great martial saints of the Divine Continent, Huangfu Yuyan. If it was in the past, not many people in the Divine Continent would dare to provoke you. But now, you can't do it anymore. Your cultivation has been sealed by yourself, and you're only a martial king now. You refuse to take the path to heaven and barge into hell. Tuoba Nan said loudly. His eyes were fixed on Huangfu Yuyan. He was extremely nervous. If Huangfu Yuyan had not sealed her cultivation, or if her cultivation had already been unsealed, he would be courting death by doing this. As he spoke, he wanted to see the change in Huangfu Yuyan's expression. This way, he could confirm if Huangfu Yuyan had sealed her cultivation. Li Lingtian was also looking at Huangfu Yuyan seriously. At this moment, he could only place his hopes on Huangfu Yuyan. He hoped that he could leave this place as Huangfu Yuyan. No matter how powerful his cultivation was, he would not even have the chance to make a move if the other party sent a few Super 7th Heaven Supreme Realm experts. However, when he saw Huangfu Yuyan, his heart sank. This little girl had encountered too little trouble. His state of mind was still not strong enough. He actually revealed a trace of change in his expression at this moment. Although it was fleeting, in front of so many super experts, it was seen through with a single glance. As expected, when he shook his head, Tuoba Nan spoke again. I'm right, right? If Fairy leaves now, we will definitely go to the Divine Continent to thank you. Tuoba Nan was pleasantly surprised, and his killing intent grew even stronger. However, he did not show it on his face. This was a true old fox. You're right. Even if I seal my cultivation, don't tell me that you martial honors want to fight in front of me. Huangfu Yuyan's expression turned cold. She knew that she had been tricked. The other party wasn't sure if her cultivation was sealed or not, but her expression had betrayed her. At the thought of this, he felt a tinge of regret. When he saw Li Lingtian shaking his head, he felt a little upset. He was a martial saint, a proud son of heaven, and not many people dared to provoke him in the Divine Continent. Yet, he was always frustrated in front of this young man. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand, and a colorful caltrip appeared in his hand. The colorful caltrip emitted a faint fragrance. 7-colored sky silk. Tuoba Nan and Yu Buffon cried out in shock. This was the trump card treasure of the famous 10 great martial saints, Huangfu Yuyan. Its power was shocking. Huangfu Yuyan had relied on the 7-colored sky silk to achieve her reputation as one of the 10 great martial saints. He did not expect Huangfu Yuyan to use the treasure she was famous for. This treasure was a peerless saint artifact. Chapter 340, Chapter 340, Desolate 10 Consecutive Slashes, 1. Chapter 340, Desolate 10 Consecutive Slashes, 1. Li Lingtian understood everything when he saw the treasure in Huangfu Yuyan's hand. This Huangfu Yuyan was indeed a martial saint. It was just that her cultivation had been sealed and she was hiding in the Azure continent to train her mental state. It was just that she was involved in his matters. A martial saint's cultivation had been sealed by him. It was impossible for him to remove the seal before he broke through his state of mind. A martial saint without cultivation was not even comparable to an ordinary person. Now that he was facing so many experts, he was definitely finished. Li Lingtian was amused when he heard the Tuoba clan's powerhouse's words. If they were to thank Huangfu Yuyan when she left, would they let her leave? It was obviously impossible. This has nothing to do with you. You can leave now. I can solve my own problems. Dishi family and Tuoba family are nothing but garbage in my eyes. Li Lingtian's body flashed as a grave expression appeared on his face. He tossed a pill into his mouth and his depleted vital essence was instantly restored to its peak. This change made countless experts feel envious, and even more revealed greedy expressions. His Zhen Yuan recovered and circulated to the limit. Without any hesitation, a shocking sword intent soared into the sky again. The sword intent spread across the entire square of Dishi family. However, this sword intent was slightly different from the last one. The last time, the sword intent was incomparably sharp, but this time, it carried a supreme pressure, and a sense of someone else's power. Li Lingtian's eyes turned grave as his aura surged. He did not wish to kill the powerhouses at the seventh heaven, especially when there were 5 or 6 of them at the same time. All he wanted was to buy some time for Huangfu Yuyan. The heavenly fault sword was displayed. The heavenly fault sword floated in the air and spun continuously. Myriad swords returned to the origin. A ball of light appeared in Li Lingtian's right hand. Within the ball of light were countless sharp swords. These sharp swords were so tiny that they could not be seen clearly. However, with a wave of his hand, a world of swords instantly formed within 100 meters of him. Over 10,000 sharp swords, each of which was in existence above profound armament, and there were also emperor armament in the middle. 36 emperor armament long swords were driving over 10,000 sharp swords. Such power and formation was enough to suppress all the martial artists. Myriad swords returned to the origin. It's the most tyrannical heaven-grade divine ability of the Tao of the sword. He actually managed to cultivate the myriad returning swords. I didn't expect that he would actually cultivate the myriad returning swords that I had comprehended for 300 years. Instantly, all the powerful warriors were shocked. Dishi Tianjian's face was also filled with madness. He had been comprehending the myriad returning swords for 300 years, but this young man had actually performed it so easily. This kind of thing was not going to anger him to death. He had been comprehending for 300 years and had yet to comprehend it, while the other party was only 18 years old. To be able to cultivate this move at the age of 18, there was simply no comparison. The few super experts who had just come out also revealed a trace of seriousness on their faces. Such a sword array also posed a threat to them. If they were not careful, they would also be directly killed by this sword array. Boom! Whoosh! 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 Hiss! In the air, a series of explosions and swishing noises could be heard. Tens of thousands of sharp swords spun and struck towards the powerful warriors of Dishi family and Tuoba family. The sword formation was so powerful that even 6 or 7 super powerful warriors had to defend themselves seriously. Rumble! Rumble! The powerful warriors of Dishi family and Tuoba family were all bombarded by the destructive sword formation. Although they were all Supreme Realm warriors, they could only resist the attack of tens of thousands of Xian weapons. More importantly, when these profound armaments were displayed through the sword formation, the power of each sharp sword was dozens of times stronger than when it was alone. With such power, even a martial honor did not dare to be careless. Get lost. With a flip of his hand, Li Lingtian sent a powerful Li Lingtian toward Huangfu Yuyan, sending her flying toward the array formation. Huangfu Yuyan did not expect Li Lingtian to make a move so suddenly. Without putting up any resistance, she disappeared from the array formation. She had a treasure that could ignore the array formation's existence. Otherwise, she would not have left the array formation. She now understood that Li Lingtian was not confident in defeating these powerhouses. He had unleashed his powerful destructive attack to give her a chance to escape. As expected, now that he had been slapped out of the array, as long as he used some methods, he would be able to quickly escape from this place. His chances of escaping would be much higher. Li Lingtian's heart trembled as he watched Li Lingtian continuously use his true essence to cast the myriad returning swords. He was willing to sacrifice his life to save a woman and give up his own life to fight for a chance for her. Such a person would be hard to come by in the divine martial continent. After interacting with him for a while, he had an inexplicable good impression of this young man. Otherwise, as a martial saint, he would not be bored with such a young man. Moreover, she was willing to be the mate of this young man. Even if she was thrown out, she only felt a burst of anger. She did not blame him at all. On the contrary, she felt even more happy. All of this did not allow him to leave. His body flashed and he entered the array formation again. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. The 10,000 returning swords were offset by a few super experts. Countless traces of blood appeared on the bodies of the few super experts. However, these injuries did not affect the 7th level Supreme Realm experts at all. The 1,000 swords vanished from Li Lingtian's hand and the heavenly fault sword returned to his glabella. Li Lingtian's face was deathly pale as if he had just fallen seriously ill. You're courting death. Seeing the wounds on his body, Dishi Qingling's face turned extremely ugly. Although it was not fatal, this move almost took their lives. Only they knew the true danger. In the myriad returning swords, it was almost a narrow escape. If not for their 7th level Supreme Realm physical defense and treasures, they would have long become dead bodies. If there were only 1 or 2 level 7 Supreme Realm experts in such a sword array, they would definitely have died. This young man's cultivation was not deep. If this young man's cultivation reached the Supreme Realm, they would definitely die completely. With that said, a destructive ray of light was hurled at Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian did not have the slightest chance to retaliate as he was completely enveloped in the radiance. All the powerhouses turned around, afraid to watch Li Lingtian fall. After all, this young man's cultivation was too heaven-defying. It was a pity that he died. Tyrannical Saber Art. Desolate 10 consecutive strikes. Li Lingtian's face turned pale as he watched the destructive attack. He had no way to resist this attack, nor did he have the chance to do so. It was already too late to resist. He could only fight to the death. It was not a loss to drag someone down with him. He now understood that in front of a powerful martial artist, no matter how many treasures he had or how powerful his skills were, he would not have the chance to use them. This was the difference in realm. With a wave of the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber, the move of the Tyrant Saber art was executed. Suddenly, a desolate aura appeared between heaven and earth, but there was destruction in this aura. This power attracted the attention of all the powerful warriors. They looked at Dishi Qingling's attack, and in the light, a tiny light shadow flashed. The light shadow flashed 10 times, striking towards Dishi Qingling along with a desolate power. Crash! The first light shadow negated Dishi Qingling's attack, and the second light shadow destroyed all the light beams. The third light shadow landed on Dishi Qingling's body and broke his defense. The fourth light beam penetrated Dishi Qingling's body, and the fifth light beam cut his body in half. The last 5 light beams struck on Dishi Yunqiu and Sakra Sky Sword, and destroyed them instantly. Ah! After Dishi Yunqiu and the Sakra heavenly sword fell, Dishi Qingling, who had been cut in half, let out a miserable scream. Such a speed could completely ignore the distance between them. Otherwise, Dishi Qingling wouldn't scream out in pain until he was cut in half and the two people behind him were killed. Heaven and Earth 5 Elemental Jade, suppress. The three super powerhouses were killed in one hit. However, at that moment, Tuoba Nan roared and a beam of light emerged from the secret chamber of Dishi family, enveloping Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian's movements were gradually restricted by the light. Open. Li Lingtian was disheartened at the sight of this. He had used up all his true essence and it was impossible for him to cast the devouring light. He could only wait for death now. However, when he saw the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber, he used his divine sense and immediately put the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber away. When he was done, his entire body was suppressed by the light and he could not move at all. All of this happened too quickly. The two experts did not even have time to react. In fact, the entire process from Li Lingtian's myriad returning swords to Dishi Qingling's attack to Li Lingtian's desolation 10 consecutive strikes that killed the three supreme martial honors to Li Lingtian's imprisonment took less than 5 seconds. In this short period of time, earth-shattering changes had occurred. 2 level 7 revered martial artists and 1 level 4 revered martial artist had fallen. This time, 3 Dishi family super powerful warriors had fallen, and their power had been greatly reduced. However, Li Lingtian was also suppressed. Shoo! There was an uproar. Putting aside Li Lingtian's suppression, the power of the 3 supreme martial honors being killed in one hit was enough to frighten all the powerhouses. Silence, silence. All the warriors saw that Li Lingtian was imprisoned and the light in the secret chamber of Dishi family was shining on him. Knowing that it was all over, Li Lingtian, the super monster, was finally suppressed here. Ha, ha. Look at how arrogant you are. 5 elements martial spirit, hee hee. I've been looking for you for hundreds of years and finally found you. I'm going to turn you into a puppet, ha. Tuoba Nan looked at the imprisoned Li Lingtian and burst out laughing maniacally. Once Li Lingtian was captured, he would be able to open the ancient battlefield ruins and avenge his son. All the warriors were shocked, not knowing what Tuoba Nan meant. They all looked at Tuoba Nan and the remaining Dishi family warriors curiously. Chapter 341, Chapter 341, Drawing Martial Soul, 1. Chapter 341, Drawing Martial Soul, 1. Tuoba Nan didn't have any scruples. Even if tens of thousands of powerful warriors were in the Dishi family, he still laughed crazily. All the powerful warriors felt sad for Tuoba Nan because of the loss of his son. The few super powerful warriors of Dishi family were also furious. Not only had Dishi family been destroyed, but a few super powerful warriors had also been killed. Now, Li Lingtian was finally imprisoned, but he could not be killed because if he was killed, the Dishi family and Tuoba family's plan would fail. It was not worth it to vent his anger by killing Li Ling. Now, he could only watch Li Lingtian with his eyes wide open. 5 elements martial soul. Could it be the 5 elements martial soul? That's impossible. In the divine martial continent, every martial artist can only have 1 martial soul. Even the super experts can only have 1 more martial soul. It's the 5 elements martial soul. If that's the case, there won't be any difference between the main and the secondary martial souls. It's the 5 elements complete martial soul. Is there really such a miraculous martial soul in this world? No wonder he became a martial emperor at the age of 19 and even became an alchemy saint. He's so heaven-defying. Although most of the martial artists did not understand what Tuoba Nan said, a few super powerhouses noticed that this Tuoba Nan would definitely not speak carelessly. Even if he was spouting nonsense, he wouldn't say that someone else had a 5 elements martial soul. Moreover, from Tuoba Nan's words, they had already set their eyes on Li Lingtian for the sake of this 5 elements martial soul. After the discussion among the few powerhouses, all the warriors were shocked as well. They stared at the imprisoned Li Lingtian in horror. In the distance, Huangfu Yuyan stared at Li Lingtian with a hissing sound. Now that Li Lingtian was imprisoned and his 5 elements power was being extracted, she could do nothing about it. Others might not be able to see it, but she could. With the eyes of a martial saint, she knew that the light behind this Dishi family was the light of the 5 elements. Furthermore, Tuoba Nan had a piece of heaven and earth 5 elements jade in his possession. It was this heaven and earth 5 elements jade that was used as a catalyst to imprison Li Lingtian. While the powerhouses were discussing in shock, Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically as his strength was being extracted. Moreover, this power was his 5 elements peak. He did not know what this light was, but it had the aura of the 5 elements. His 5 elements martial soul was being extracted in this way. Encountering such a situation, he could not help but be shocked. But so what? In the light of the 5 elements, he could not even move his fingers. It was impossible to resist. The pain of having his martial soul extracted was even more terrifying than the dragon chi tempering his body. Ah, 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 ah. Screams could be heard. He couldn't move his body, but he could still make sounds. He had never experienced such pain before. His face was twisted, his eyes were bloodshot, and he seemed to have gone crazy. Ha, ha. Li Lingtian, you destroyed my Today, I'll let you taste a fate worse than death. Aren't you a genius? I'll extract your martial soul today and make sure you won't be able to cultivate for the rest of your life. 11. Ha, ha. Tuoba Nan burst into laughter when he saw Li Lingtian's pained expression. The more Li Lingtian was in pain, the more excited he became. As long as they did not kill Li Lingtian and extracted the 5 elements martial soul, they could activate the array formation and enter the ancient battlefield ruins to search for treasures. Let him go. Huangfu Yuyan's heart was torn apart as she watched Li Lingtian being tortured. If she did not seal her cultivation base, would these people still dare to act so arrogantly in front of her? Li Lingtian would not have suffered such torture. It was all God's will. Although her tone was arrogant, there was a hint of pleading in it. For her to put down her dignity as a martial saint like this, it immediately shocked countless experts. Ha! He destroyed my Dishi family. Can't he bear this pain? I won't let him go. I will extract his martial soul and turn him into a puppet. You, too. The 10 great martial saints of the divine continent are so peerless. When the time comes, I will let you enjoy the happiness of the world. Ha! Dishi Yuntian laughed out loud as well. He felt great when he saw a martial saint begging him. He watched Li Lingtian being tortured and thought about how his Dishi family's powerful warriors were killed and destroyed. The anger in his heart intensified. After he finished speaking, his eyes kept sizing up Huangfu Yuyan. In a flash, he had already arrived in front of Huangfu Yuyan. With a wave of his hand, an attack from a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert blasted out. Bang! Without the slightest resistance, his entire body was thrown out and he spat out a mouthful of blood. A martial king would not even have the chance to resist an attack from a Supreme Realm expert. Huangfu Yuyan's true cultivation was exposed in one strike. As a martial saint, she had indeed sealed her cultivation to train her mental state. However, she did not expect to end up like this. For a moment, all the super powerhouses were stunned. Not only did the Dishi family and the Tuoba family want to kill Li Lingtian, but they also wanted to extract his 5 elements martial souls. Now, the 2 clans actually dared to make a move against Huangfu Yuyan. Could it be that both clans had gone mad? No matter how powerful Dishi family and Tuoba family were, they couldn't be a match for Huangfu family. Everyone, Li Lingtian killed our Dishi family's powerful warriors and destroyed the Dishi family's foundation. This Huangfu Yuyan is also an imposter. Let's call it a day. I've really made a fool of myself. Please return. Dishi Yuntian grabbed Huangfu Yuyan with a single hand and cast a series of seals on her. Now, even a true martial saint would not have a chance to escape. After doing everything, Dishi Yuntian said to all the powerful warriors in a loud voice, as if he wanted to drive them away. I would like to advise you. Li Lingtian is the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild and the first alchemy saint in the Azure continent. Shouldn't your Dishi family help him since you've captured his sister? I destroyed your Dishi family because you were too barbaric. I don't want to talk about the Dishi family and Li Lingtian. However, I hope you will remember that Li Lingtian is the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild and the only divine alchemist in the Azure continent. He's also a friend of the Queen's Palace. Also, Fairy Yuyan is one of the top 10 martial saints of the divine continent. She didn't offend your Dishi family. But, the Dishi family insulted a martial saint in front of me. Do you think the Azure continent is worth it? At this moment, what everyone did not expect was that Yu Bufeng opened his mouth. There was a faint smile on his face. When he spoke, his eyes glanced at all the experts. The Dishi family only had 3 Supreme Realm warriors left, and it was indeed a heavy blow to the Dishi family to use such words to suppress them. Dishi family's powerful warriors were already worried, but now that they heard that, they became even more worried. If it were other powerhouses, they would not dare to speak at all, nor would they have the right to speak. However, the 7th heaven powerhouses of the Queen's Palace had the right and strength to do so. That's right, Brother Yu is right. Indeed, I don't know Sir Ling Tian at all. However, Sir Ling Tian is the Azure Continent's Saint Alchemist. Sigh. The 10 martial saints of the Divine Continent didn't offend your Dishi family. Does Dishi family not care about all the powers in the world? I feel sad. Since when did Dishi family become so powerful? How dare they insult a martial saint? I hope you know your place. Do you think that just because the Azure continent is so far away from the Divine Continent, news can't reach the Divine Continent? As soon as Yu Bufeng finished speaking, the other experts also followed suit. Although they did not know why the Queen's Palace was participating, with the Queen's Palace's strength participating, they all wanted to interfere. This martial honor or martial emperor was a fool. He must have some scheme up his sleeve since he had been scheming for Li Lingtian's 5 elements martial souls. If there were no heaven-defying benefits, the Tuoba family and Dishi family would not risk offending a martial saint. While Yu Bufeng was talking, Dishi Yuntian was stunned. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. Wasn't this world where the strong reigned supreme? Since he had imprisoned Li Lingtian, these warriors should have left. However, they were actually speaking up for Li Lingtian and Huangfu Yuyan. The world had turned upside down. Ha, do you also want to interfere in the affairs between Dishi family and Tuoba family? Looking at Dishi Yuntian's face, Tuoba Nan thought that this was not good. If these powerful warriors continued to talk, Dishi Yuntian would definitely be shaken. By then, the plan of Tuoba family and Dishi family would be ruined. Dishi family was destroyed. Now, we have imprisoned him. This is the rule of this world. The strong survive. As for her, do you really think she's a martial saint? A little girl casually said that she's a martial saint, and you believe her. If I say that I'm a martial god, do you really believe me? Dishi Yuntian's heart trembled, and his face changed dramatically. Luckily, Tuoba Nan had spoken. Otherwise, if his mind wavered and he fell for it, all his efforts would be for naught. In that case, I'll take my leave. After Yu Bufeng finished speaking, his body flashed and quickly came to the edge of the formation, looking at Dishi Yuntian. Swoosh! A gust of wind blew past, causing the formation to tremble slightly. Yu Bufeng's body flashed as he left the formation and arrived beside the expert. Without any hesitation, he quickly flew into the sky. Farewell. Farewell. Seeing Yu Bufeng leave, all the powerful warriors paused briefly, then flew away as well. Instantly, the Dishi family quieted down. Over 10,000 powerful warriors left, disappearing into the horizon. In the middle of the plaza, Li Lingtian's expression was contorted. He was completely devoid of strength. Li Lingtian was now a complete cripple. He had no martial soul and no cultivation. Everything had become a thing of the past. The light of the 5 elements slowly returned to the Dishi family. Li Lingtian was lying on the ground without any expression on his face. He had no cultivation base at all and his martial soul was crippled. Huangfu Yuyan's heart ached as she looked at Li Lingtian. He did not care that his current situation was no better than Li Lingtian's. Let's go. Tuoba Nan watched as all the experts disappeared. His divine senses swept across the area, but he did not discover any other auras. Seeing the light of the 5 elements gradually disappear, his expression became solemn. He did not dare to stay here anymore, or else all his efforts would be in vain. Even if other martial artists returned, he would not care so much. With that, he reached out a hand and a force grabbed Li Lingtian, bringing him to the depths of Dishi family. Chapter 342, Chapter 342, Heaven and Earth 5 Elemental Jade. Chapter 342, Heaven and Earth 5 Elemental Jade. 7. Seeing Tuoba Nan go in, Dishi Yuntian and the others quickly went in as well. They didn't want Tuoba Nan to take the lead. The Dishi family had already paid too much. If Tuoba Nan took the lead now, they would be tricked. In the blink of an eye, the square above Dishi family was empty and messy. No one dared to think that this place was Dishi family. This place was completely ruined. The once powerful Dishi family was destroyed just like that. Right after the powerful warriors of Dishi family and Tuoba family went deep into the cave, the powerful warriors who had disappeared showed up again. Although not as many as before, there were still thousands of them. All the experts came to the front of the array. Yu Bufeng stretched out his hand, and a magical compass appeared in his hand. After Yu Bufeng took out the compass, he grabbed it with one hand, and an aura from the array returned to the compass. Immediately, the compass emitted a faint light. Brother Yu, do you think this formation can be broken quickly? There must be something good about Dishi family that we don't know about. We have to work together this time, lest Dishi family breaks us down one by one. Why? An old man at the 4th level of the Supreme Realm looked at the compass in Yu Bufeng's hand with anticipation on his face. Then, he looked at the other experts and said seriously. Dishi family had 3 7th Sky Warriors, and the other Supreme Realm Warriors were all very powerful. Together with the powerful warriors of Tuoba family, they had a lot of warriors. However, if they didn't unite, they would be defeated one by one. I understand that. I believe everyone understands that if we don't stand on the same side, we will be wiped out by Dishi family and Tuoba family. Yeah, if Dishi family gets any heaven-defying treasures, we won't have a place in the Azure continent anymore. Since he dared to take the risk of offending a martial saint, he must have some mysterious and heaven-defying treasure. It seems like they're trying to seize Li Lingtian's 5 elements martial souls to activate some kind of array or mechanism. It's a pity that Sir Ling Tian, the only alchemy saint in the Azure continent, has fallen just like that. It's still a good thing if he dies. If he doesn't die, it'll be a tragedy if he's tortured. All of a sudden, all the experts were waiting for the array to be activated. They also lowered their voices, afraid that the experts inside would hear them. In fact, in the secret room of Dishi family, he had already discovered what was happening outside. In the secret chamber, Li Lingtian was imprisoned on a mystical 8 trigrams array altar. The light on the array altar flickered continuously. Huangfu Yuyan was also sealed at the side. Her expression was extremely ugly as she watched Li Lingtian being crippled. No one could bear the blow of having a heaven's favorites cultivation martial soul crippled. Li Lingtian's expression was numb as he stared at the figure in the crystal. Thousands of powerhouses were standing outside the array while the compass in Yu Bufeng's hand was constantly flashing. When I open this array altar, I'll refine you into a puppet and make you wish you were dead. Tuoba Nan's anger exploded when he saw Li Lingtian's apathetic expression. However, this was the most critical moment to activate the array altar. The powerhouses outside could break in at any moment. At that time, if these experts saw all of this, he would not be able to make the decision. Brother Tuoba, how long will it take for this formation altar to be opened? The defensive formation of our Dishi family won't last much longer. Dishi Yuntian looked at the trembling formation and felt extremely anxious. A worried look appeared on his face. Don't worry. When this heaven and earth 5 elemental jade fuses with his 5 elemental power, we can activate this array altar. When the time comes, I'll let this trash have a taste of life worse than death. Tuoba Nan was displeased when he saw the expressions on the faces of the few Dishi family powerful warriors. If it weren't for the treasures inside, he wouldn't have joined hands with the Dishi family. He kept thinking that if he went in there, he would definitely be suppressed by Dishi family's powerful warriors. By then, he had to find a way to get rid of these Dishi family powerful warriors. As he spoke, he cast spells one after another and struck the 5-colored jade floating above the array altar. The 5-colored jade stone emitted a faint glow. This jade stone was not simple, because it was the most magical heaven and earth 5 elements jade in the world. It could fuse the 5 elements together and condense the martial soul of a 5-element martial soul expert, allowing the martial soul to improve rapidly. However, they were now using this treasure to absorb Li Lingtian's 5 elements martial soul and activate the array altar with the 5 elements power of 5 elements perfection. Li Lingtian's heart was numb as countless fragments appeared in his mind. His 5 elements martial spirit was crippled, and his cultivation had disappeared. Moreover, he was now completely confined, so he had no chance of escaping. Looking at the light on the array altar, his gaze became unfocused. He then thought of something and looked at Huangfu Yuyan, feeling touched and guilty. Cici. At this moment, the light on the array altar became even stronger. Moreover, the array altar began to tremble as a mysterious aura spread out. This aura carried an ancient aura. Waves of killing intent drifted out. Li Lingtian was shocked by this aura, but he could not do anything now. He could only wait to be tortured. Boom! With a loud explosion, Li Lingtian's body was sent flying. At the same time, the heaven and earth 5-element jade's radiance grew brighter. At this moment, a suction force grabbed him, and his body entered a pitch-black hole. When he saw the last ray of light in his eyes, Huangfu Yuyan was also captured. Li Lingtian felt a soft touch. Although he could not see what was happening in the black hole or who the other party was without his cultivation base, he could tell that the other party was Huangfu Yuyan. This was because when the two of them were together a while ago, they had touched each other quite often. Now, he could clearly tell that this body belonged to Huangfu Yuyan, and he had touched her chest. In the black hole, the destructive tearing force continued to swirl. Li Lingtian felt as if he was being grabbed and transported inside. Swoosh! A gust of wind blew across his face as a gray light appeared. Li Lingtian saw everything before him. It was a dark world, but the spiritual energy in this world was extremely dense. There were flowers and plants everywhere, but there was no sunlight in this world. However, just as he was surprised by the spiritual energy in this place, a desolate killing intent soared into the sky. With a burst of explosion, a small mountain collapsed. This place was a world of destruction. When the time comes, I'll make you wish you were dead. Tuoba Nan glanced at Li Lingtian and then at Huangfu Yuyan. His eyes were sizing up Huangfu Yuyan before a lewd smile appeared on his face. Huangfu Yuyan naturally felt this gaze as well. This laughter was disgusting. However, now that both of them were sealed and Li Lingtian's martial soul was crippled, he could only be a fish in the sea. After Tuoba Nan finished speaking, his expression changed drastically. His body flashed and he brought the two of them to fly into the distance. Li Lingtian could clearly hear the furious roars coming from behind. It was the voice of the Dishi family's powerful warriors. Perhaps they were angry that Tuoba Nan had taken him and Huangfu Yuyan away. Furthermore, they saw Tuoba Nan moving alone, leaving them to the side. In this place, the Tuoba family had the natural five-element jade, so they naturally knew where the treasures were. The Dishi family only occupied vast Heaven Mountain range and this mysterious formation altar, but they had no idea what was under the formation altar. It was only when the Tuoba family arrived that they found out about the secret of this array altar. The two families had joined forces to obtain the treasures below the array altar. However, there were very few powerhouses with dual martial souls in this world, let alone martial artists with martial souls of 5 elements completion. The two families had searched the divine martial continent for hundreds of years, but they had not found any martial soul experts with 5 elements at perfection. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian's appearance to reveal the secret of Li Lingtian's 5 elements martial soul through the heaven and earth 5 elements jade. Now, the Tuoba family had acted alone and taken Li Lingtian and Huangfu Yuyan away. This had infuriated the Dishi family. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of flying through the air rang in his ears, and from time to time, a powerful killing intent exploded from the ground. Although this killing intent wasn't as strong as it was at the beginning, it still allowed people to be careless. If they weren't careful, they would be killed. This kind of killing intent was even more terrifying than the astral winds on Hidden Dragon Island. Aren't you tired? Li Lingtian had calmed down. Isn't it just a martial soul with 5 elements perfection? Even without the 5 elements martial spirits, he could still cultivate them because he cultivated the heaven and earth reincarnation skill. Moreover, it was impossible for the ice and fire martial spirits to be extracted. He was born with the flaming sacred body, and his ice soul martial spirit was also a variation of the immemorial ice crystal. Right now, he just wanted to find a chance to break away from Tuoba Nan. If he couldn't break away, he would be at the mercy of others even if he had a way. You're courting death. Tuoba Nan was enraged when he heard Li Lingtian's words. His son had been killed by this piece of trash. If he did not need this piece of trash, he would have killed him long ago. With that said, a destructive force slammed into Li Lingtian's body. Instantly, Li Lingtian's face contorted. The destructive force was running amok in his body. This kind of pain was not something a human could withstand. As time ticked by, Li Lingtian was extremely anxious. If Tang Qingyue did not come out, she might perish in the divine dragon ring forever. However, he had no other choice but to wait for an opportunity. The dark world was filled with destruction and terrifying energy. There was not a single quiet place. Li Lingtian was shocked when he saw all this. He did not expect such a world to exist in the divine martial continent. After an unknown period of time, the world quieted down. Tuoba Nan also slowed down and began to search with his divine sense. Battlefield ruins. I finally found you. Tuoba Nan stopped, his face filled with wild joy. Li Lingtian also looked ahead and saw a huge ancient tower standing tall. He had no idea how tall it was. Even though it was not big in this world, it gave off a feeling of being huge. A huge oppressive force emanated from the tower. Chapter 343, Chapter 343, Martial Honored Realm. Chapter 343, Martial Honored Realm. Li Lingtian was shocked when he saw the ancient tower in the distance. He had never seen such a shocking ancient tower. From the outside, this ancient tower looked like an ordinary tower sculpture, but it gave people the feeling of looking up and worshipping it. Huangfu Yuyan was also stunned by this ancient tower. The three of them looked at the ancient tower without saying anything. Whoosh! Tuoba Nan was excited when he saw the ancient tower. With a flash, he pulled Li Lingtian and flew forward. It seemed very close, but it was very far away. It took them a full 20 minutes to arrive at the foot of the ancient tower. Only at the foot of the ancient tower did they realize how powerful this ancient tower was. There was no top to be seen at all. This ancient tower was like a huge building, hundreds of meters in size. It was a huge, ancient bronze door that was emitting a faint green light. 5 elements of heaven and earth, sacrifice. Tuoba Nan placed Li Lingtian and Huangfu Yuyan aside as he scrutinized the bronze door. If he wanted to enter the ancient tower, he had to open the bronze door first. After a while, Tuoba Nan took out the heaven and earth 5 elemental jade and cast spells. In the end, a seal was cast on Li Lingtian's body. Instantly, Li Lingtian's body was suspended in the air. His expression was extremely ugly as his life slowly drained away. As his life faded away, the light of the heaven and earth 5 elemental jade became more intense. Gradually, the copper door opened gently. Huangfu Yuyan watched as Li Lingtian's life was fading away. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Creak. With a soft sound, the copper door was completely opened. A shocking killing intent erupted from inside, as well as a mysterious and strange aura. After the aura was released, it was empty inside. Inside, it was a completely different world. It was like an independent space. However, Li Lingtian's life force had completely drained away and he had already fused with the heaven and earth 5 elemental jade. The light in his eyes had also dissipated. However, at the last moment of his life, Li Lingtian turned to Huangfu Yuyan. He didn't say anything, but his eyes revealed everything. In the end, he revealed a confident smile and slowly closed his eyes. The life force in his body slowly dissipated, and a trace of the 5 elements aura drifted out. Come back here. Get back here. Without my permission, your life and death cannot be in your hands. Huangfu Yuyan's heart trembled when she saw Li Lingtian's final look and smile. Tears could not help but fall from her eyes. His entire person revealed a crazed expression. This crazed expression made even Tuoba Nan feel a trace of fear. This martial saint did not have any cultivation base, but he still had his remaining might. However, when he saw Huangfu Yuyan's actions, Tuoba Nan's expression changed drastically. He became terrified. No, stop. With a loud roar, he circulated his true essence and a destructive attack shot towards Huangfu Yuyan. This was because he saw Huangfu Yuyan's true qi reverse. She was going to use up her entire life's cultivation to destroy this place. Even if a martial saint sealed his cultivation, the destructive power of suicide would still be able to destroy the world. Only by killing Huangfu Yuyan could he stop her from committing suicide. Otherwise, not only him, but the ancient tower would also be destroyed. Reincarnation seal, open. The madness on Huangfu Yuyan's face grew more and more intense. Her snow-white fingers moved continuously as she performed a strange gesture. His entire body emitted a supreme holy majesty. This was the majesty of a martial saint and Huangfu Yuyan. She could not hold it in any longer when she saw Li Lingtian's life slipping away. What cultivation? What martial saint? Everything was in the past. If this young man died, what use would it be for him to have the cultivation of a martial saint or martial god? You were destined to fail when you used the heaven and earth 5 elemental jade. I will use the power of the martial saint seal to help him achieve the true perfection of the 5 elements. The entire divine martial continent will tremble because of him. It's too late. Do you think that I can't kill ants like you just because I've sealed my cultivation? I also cultivate the reincarnation art. Huangfu Yuyan's crazed expression reached its peak, and her imposing aura carried an irresistible might as she pressed a mysterious hand seal into the air. Suddenly, a destructive aura appeared between heaven and earth. This aura was like divine might as it bombarded Tuoba Nan's body fiercely. Tuoba Nan's attack also automatically dissipated in front of this aura. Huangfu Yuyan's mouth was stained with blood. The aura of a martial saint gradually spread out from her body, and her vitality became weak. Tuoba Nan was crushed into ashes and disappeared from the world. When he died, he still didn't know which part he had lost to. The heaven and earth 5 elemental jade gradually fell from the sky, and the bronze gate of the ancient tower gradually closed. At that moment, Huangfu Yuyan forcefully reversed the last trace of her martial saint's true origin. With a single hand, the heaven and earth 5 elements jade landed in her hand. Without any hesitation, she hurled the heaven and earth 5 elements jade at Li Lingtian. In a flash, he grabbed Li Lingtian and flew into the ancient tower. Just as the two of them disappeared from the ancient tower, the bronze door closed again. Damn it, damn it. Tuoba Nan, I will definitely destroy your Tuoba family. In the distance, a few super experts saw the bronze door close and instantly became furious. However, they were a moment too late. They watched helplessly as a figure entered the ancient tower. The bronze door closed, and no one outside could enter anymore. Now, they finally understood that even a supreme realm expert was close to the end of the world when faced with such a distance. The ancient tower was no longer a gloomy world, but a miracle, a paradise. A light pink figure landed on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood again. She was still holding a white-robed young man. There was no life force on the white-robed man's body, but at this moment, the man's body emitted a faint colorless light. The light was weak, but it gradually stabilized and became stronger. The young man in white was naturally Li Lingtian, who had lost his vitality. The girl in pink beside him was Huangfu Yuyan, one of the 10 great martial saints of the divine continent. However, he no longer had the aura of a martial saint. Moreover, his aura was extremely weak. He had truly become a martial king. Li Lingtian's body glowed with a 5-colored radiance. A piece of jade slowly swirled within his body before it finally reached his dantian. The shattered 5-colored golden elixir in his dantian gradually fused together. The shattered 5-colored golden core gradually gathered together in front of the magical light of the jade stone, and then slowly fused. The fusion of the golden core and the jade was slowly digested. The jade was naturally the heaven and earth 5 elements jade. It contained all of Li Lingtian's 5 elements martial souls and his cultivation base. I hope you don't disappoint me. Huangfu Yuyan looked at the radiance on Li Lingtian's body and extended her hand. She chanted a chant that was difficult to understand. A ball of faint light appeared in his hand. This light emitted the majesty of a martial saint. Looking at the radiance in her hand, Huangfu Yuyan did not hesitate at all. With a single hand, she guided the light ball into the radiance on Li Lingtian's body. Immediately, Li Lingtian's body began to tremble and his entire dantian was in turmoil. The 5-colored golden core had just been formed when it was torn apart by a destructive light. However, after this destructive light, the heaven and earth 5 elements jade began to fuse with the golden core. The 5-colored golden core absorbed the power in the dantian, including the destructive light. After an unknown period of time, the 5-colored golden core was repaired again and became extremely powerful. It was unknown how much stronger it was than before. The 5-colored golden core emitted the aura of the 5 elements and a trace of the aura of a martial saint. His body, which was originally lifeless, gradually became warm and vitality gradually appeared. At that moment, Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. His pale face had turned red as his body slowly levitated, allowing the 5-colored radiance to condense. The 5 elements of heaven and earth combine into one. 5 elements perfection. Break and then establish. After the five-colored radiance had completely entered his body, Li Lingtian's body that was lying flat in the air stood in the air. His eyes shone brightly as he felt the changes in his body. His face revealed a trace of shock. Then, he circulated the heaven and earth reincarnation and circulated the true Yuan that had returned to his body. With a final roar, a shocking aura was emitted. On the ground, Huangfu Yuyan saw Li Lingtian come back to life once again. Her face was covered in tears, but this time, they were tears of happiness because everything she had did not disappoint her. The martial arts of heaven and earth are the Tao, and I am the master of the martial arts. Martial honored realm, break. Li Lingtian's expression turned solemn as he waved his hands. A shocking aura was emitted and his entire aura was elevated rapidly. He became even more graceful, and in this elegance, there was a supreme majesty. After circulating the heaven and earth reincarnation for 3 cycles, his realm slowly stabilized. He landed on the ground and looked at Huangfu Yuyan with a serious and cold gaze. "Why are you doing this to me?" Li Lingtian asked in an indifferent tone. "I did this willingly. I've reached the martial saint realm, but I've never felt the existence of emotions in this world. My mental state has been tempered. It has taught me that sometimes, what I need isn't a shocking cultivation base or a position where tens of thousands of people worship me. I would rather be your servant than have all of these things." Huangfu Yuyan looked at Li Lingtian and his icy gaze. Instead of being surprised, she smiled faintly. When I recover, you'll be finished." Li Lingtian's icy expression softened. He could no longer describe what Huangfu Yuyan had done for him. All he knew was that he was going to disappoint a girl again in this lifetime. He reached out and pulled Huangfu Yuyan into his embrace. His body flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chapter 344, Chapter 344, Tang Qingyue's Shock. Chapter 344, Tang Qingyue's Shock. The entire ancient tower had a magnificent aura. In this magnificent aura, it made people feel solemn and solemn. Li Lingtian carried Huangfu Yuyan horizontally as he quickly dashed away. Inside the ancient tower, it was a completely independent world. However, at the top of the ancient tower, there was a gray aura. There was no sunlight or stars. He didn't know how big the world inside the ancient tower was, but after flying for half an hour, he finally found a canyon. Li Lingtian put Huangfu Yuyan down in the canyon. However, Huangfu Yuyan clung to Li Lingtian's body and refused to come down. Li Lingtian had no choice but to find a place suitable for cultivation and sit down. He carried Huangfu Yuyan on his lap and looked at her. "Are you really a martial saint?" Li Lingtian asked curiously, even though he was certain that Huangfu Yuyan was one of the 10 great martial saints of the divine continent. However, he still could not believe this fact. A martial saint was not trash like a warrior spirit or a warrior king. He couldn't accept the fact that this pretty little girl beside him was actually a martial saint. Due to the heaven and earth 5 elemental Jade and Huangfu Yuyan's martial saint true origin, his cultivation had successfully reached the realm of martial honored. Although he was only at the first level of martial honored, this first level was tens of thousands of times stronger than a martial emperor. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. He now understood how lucky he was to kill a supreme realm expert. He also understood how powerful his skills and treasures were. He also clearly knew the true difference between a martial honor and a martial emperor. Originally, he was already dead, but Huangfu Yuyan reversed her Jin Yuan and broke the reincarnation seal. She destroyed the cultivation realm of a martial saint and allowed the heaven and earth 5 elemental Jade to enter his body. She used the power of the martial saint's Jin Yuan to restore his life force and greatly improved his cultivation. He knew that without Huangfu Yuyan, he would have died long ago. "Of course, let's see if you still dare to bully Ben Gong in the future." Huangfu Yuyan looked at Li Lingtian's expression and immediately felt like a spoiled child. "You used to treat me like a maid and even threw me off the spaceship. Now, let's see how I'll deal with you. So what if he's a martial saint? This young master likes the women of martial saints. You should obediently be my maid. Li Lingtian snorted as his blood vessels surged. He had many exceptional girls around him, but he had never tried out a warrior sage. The more he thought about it, the more evil he felt. A martial saint, a powerful martial saint, he. After he finished speaking, he stroked Huangfu Yuyan's face. What kind of martial saint was this? She was still sitting in his arms. You. Right, have you stabilized your cultivation base? Don't act recklessly. Stabilize your cultivation base first. If you don't reach the martial god realm one day, I won't let you off. Your talent is passable, but you know too little. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken away your 5 elements martial spirit. But you're lucky. Be good and listen to me. With my guidance, your cultivation won't be as bad as it is now. Huangfu Yuyan blushed. She knew what Li Lingtian was thinking. No one would dislike a warrior sage girl. Moreover, this fellow had found out about her warrior sage status and had even come to tease her. However, she was not angry at all. If Li Lingtian were to restrain himself because he knew that she was a warrior sage, she would regret it. As he thought of the important matter, he quickly reminded Li Lingtian of the heaven and earth 5 elemental jade and the warrior sage's true essence. Although Li Lingtian's cultivation base had reached the supreme realm, he could not afford to be careless. If his cultivation base was not stable, all his previous efforts would go to waste. War God. Li Lingtian nearly fainted. Although his flaming sacred body and ice soul martial soul were also at the 5 elements perfection and he was the reincarnation of the 9 yang saint lord, Huangfu Yuyan was too much of an imagination. What kind of realm was the martial god? He was practically a godlike existence. Don't think that I'm one of the top 10 martial saints of the divine continent. I'm only a martial saint on the heaven ranking. Although there aren't many martial saints in the divine continent, there are still quite a number of them. Furthermore, although I have never seen the martial god, I believe that the ancient clans of the Azure continent, as well as the 3 holy lands and the 10 great super forces, definitely have a martial god within them. Huangfu Yuyan said earnestly. She was worried that Li Lingtian would be careless and avoid encountering such a situation again. This was a crisis that he could resolve. If he encountered any danger in the divine continent, even a martial saint might not be able to resolve it. I know that one day, I will unify the entire divine martial continent and stand at the peak of the world, receiving the worship of the entire continent. Li Lingtian's face was filled with confidence as he exuded a faint aura. However, he now understood that he had been too careless. Although he tried his best to keep a low profile, his nature almost made him invincible. In the future, he definitely had to keep a low profile. This time, Huangfu Yuyan had completely destroyed her martial saint cultivation to help herself. If she were to encounter danger in the future, she couldn't possibly ask the martial god to help her, right? Therefore, in the future, he had to learn to think twice before acting and plan before deciding. Yuyan, stabilize your cultivation as a martial king first and slowly recover. With me around, I won't let anyone harm you unless you kill me first. Li Lingtian took a glance at Huangfu Yuyan. A martial saint had to temper his state of mind. As long as his state of mind was tempered, he would be able to strive for a higher realm. However, she had given up all her cultivation for him. This was something that a powerful martial artist could not do. The stronger the cultivation, the more they cherished their cultivation and life. Yes. This time, Huangfu Yuyan did not stay in Li Lingtian's arms. Instead, she left obediently because Li Lingtian had to cultivate. When she heard Li Lingtian address her by her name, her heart felt as though it had eaten honey. In the past, he was a martial saint and had received the worship of the world's proud sons of heaven. He had heard countless praises. However, in front of this young man, any form of address could make him feel happy. After Li Lingtian saw Huangfu Yuyan leave, he released his divine consciousness and activated the divine dragon ring. Immediately, he sent his divine sense into the divine dragon ring and saw that Tang Qingyue was still inside. Tang Qingyue was lying on the grass, her expression calm. She did not know how Li Lingtian was doing or where she was. She had been here for a day but Li Lingtian had yet to show up. She felt uneasy because when Li Lingtian took her away, he was severely injured. Besides, there were countless powerful warriors from the Dishi family and Tuoba family. Something must have happened to Li Lingtian since he had yet to show up. Thinking of this, tears kept falling. It was all because of his incompetence. If he was stronger, such a thing would not have happened. She lay on the ground in a daze, unable to move at all. Only she could experience this kind of torture. After an unknown period of time, a thought was transmitted over. This thought was a consciousness. When the consciousness entered her sea of consciousness, she immediately became excited. Immediately, a powerful force pulled her out. When she reappeared, she was already in a canyon and Li Lingtian's figure was right in front of her. She could not stand steadily and was on the verge of collapsing. At that moment, Li Lingtian's figure flashed and he held her in his arms before gently placing her on the ground. How are you? Where is this place? The first thing Tang Qingyue wanted to do when she came out was to find out about Li Lingtian's injuries and where this place was. Sister Qingyue, we are in the ancient tower of the ancient battlefield. We have left Dishi family for the time being. My wounds have healed. Wait a moment, I'll make some pills for you. When Li Lingtian saw Tang Qingyue's expression, he felt relieved. One of his wishes had finally been fulfilled. Although he had been through a life-and-death situation, Tang Qingyue was still in his hands. Following that, Li Lingtian introduced Huangfu Yuyan to Tang Qingyue. As he spoke, he checked on Tang Qingyue's condition and quickly refined the pills. Although Tang Qingyue's condition was special, it was not difficult for him. What is it? Sister Yuyan is a martial saint, one of the 10 martial saints of the divine continent. Tang Qingyue was shocked when she heard Li Lingtian mention Huangfu Yuyan. She could not cultivate in the god's sealing pagoda and her cultivation was declining. She was only a tier 4 warrior king now. As a martial king, what was the concept of a martial saint? Moreover, this martial saint was only a young girl. Sister Qingyue, I'm no longer a martial saint. My martial saint cultivation is now in his hands. Huangfu Yuyan said with a smile. To her, there was no meaning to becoming a martial saint. Her time in the past was simply wasted. As she spoke, she pointed at Li Lingtian who was busy refining pills. Alchemy required a quiet environment as well as a rich spiritual qi. Although the place was filled with a lot of slaughter qi, Li Lingtian could easily cast a formation to filter the spiritual qi. He was refining pills at the side and naturally did not know what the two girls were talking about. Sister Yuyan, what is the meaning of this? Why is your martial saint cultivation on him? Tang Qingyue could not understand a single word. A martial saint's strength was not something a martial king could look up to. However, she was extremely curious when Huangfu Yuyan said that Li Lingtian had the cultivation base. Besides, she also wanted to know what happened after she entered the divine dragon ring. Dishi family and Tuoba family had countless powerful warriors. Something must have happened during that time. After he saved you, he was attacked by the powerful warriors of the Tuoba family and Dishi family. Even I couldn't stop the war when I arrived. I've sealed my cultivation, so I'm only a martial king. Tuoba Nan saw through me. In order to let me leave, he used the myriad returning swords to block the attacks of 5 level 7 experts. A level 7 expert was only injured, which angered him. In the end, he used a tyrant's blade technique called Desolation 10 consecutive strikes, which killed 2 level 7 experts and 1 level 4 expert. However, he was also imprisoned and his 5 elements martial soul was extracted. Huangfu Yuyan slowly recounted the entire situation in detail. Tang Qingyue was so frightened that she started sobbing. This time, Li Lingtian had almost died forever. Fortunately, Huangfu Yuyan had used her martial saint cultivation to help him. Even though Li Lingtian was refining pills by the side, she was feeling extremely upset. Chapter 345, Chapter 345, Cangtian Mountain. Chapter 345, Cangtian Mountain. Tang Qingyue looked at Li Lingtian busying himself. The young man's elegant figure made her fall into deep thought. If it were not for her, Li Lingtian would not have come to the Dishi family, nor would he have been destroyed. Fortunately, he had survived the ordeal. If he did not come back to life after his death, what would happen to his sister? After an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian arrived before her and interrupted her thoughts. Sister Qingyue, this is a pill I refined. After you consume it, you should be able to recover. Li Lingtian walked up to Tang Qingyue and poured out the pill he had just refined. He then fed one to Tang Qingyue's mouth. Tang Qingyue was stunned by his action and her face turned red. Even though she used to mess around with Li Lingtian, she was still very disciplined. Now that Li Lingtian was feeding the pill to his mouth, only a very close person would do such a thing. In the God's Ceiling Pagoda, he kept asking himself if he was doing this for his sister. In the end, the answer she got was impossible because there was already a shadow in her mind that she could not get rid of. She was 2 years older than Tang Zimeng and 2 years older than Li Lingtian. She was only 20 years old and still a girl. Everything this young man had done for him was beyond his imagination. In the divine martial continent, such a person could no longer be seen. To be able to give up his life and go against a super clan to save him was no longer something that could be compared to sweet words. Li Lingtian was stunned when he saw Tang Qingyue's expression. You can't move yet. Li Lingtian reminded her as he looked at Tang Qingyue with a carefree smile on his face. Tang Qingyue opened her red lips and swallowed the pill. In fact, Li Lingtian understood that Tang Qingyue's problem would disappear completely in 7 days even without the use of the elixir. Otherwise, she would not have spoken. However, they could not wait for 7 days. After all, this place was not safe yet. They did not know what dangers lay within the ancient battlefield ruins. He had to let Tang Qingyue recover. If they encountered any danger, the 3 of them would be able to deal with it together. After giving Tang Qingyue the pill, Li Lingtian sat on the ground to meditate and rest. There were no demonic beasts or wild beasts in the canyon. Li Lingtian was relieved. After that, Tang Qingyue was able to move again. The Jinqi in her body was recovering bit by bit. Huangfu Yuyan was also cultivating. Li Lingtian began to meditate and cultivate. As he had just broken through to the martial honored realm, he needed to stabilize his realm. If his realm dropped, Huangfu Yuyan would not let him off easily. After a day, Li Lingtian's realm stabilized. Li Lingtian opened his eyes and saw the 2 girls staring at him. He was puzzled for a while before he reached out to touch his face. There was nothing wrong with his face. Are you guys looking at me like this? Is there something wrong? Li Lingtian asked tentatively. We are thinking about how to leave this place. Huangfu Yuyan looked at Li Lingtian. Girls, no matter how powerful they were still girls. With someone by their side, they would not use their brains or bother to think of a solution. Furthermore, Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue were both martial kings. In a place like this, Li Lingtian was the strongest. Naturally, Tang Qingyue did not witness Li Lingtian's strength. However, Huangfu Yuyan knew that with Li Lingtian's current strength, he could even put up a fight against a 7th Heaven Supreme Realm powerhouse. Especially that myriad swords returned to the origin and Desolate 10 successive slashes, the power was extremely terrifying. The ice, fire, ninth heaven was also an unrivaled existence. Furthermore, Li Lingtian still had a few powerful heaven-tier mystical powers that he had yet to unleash. It's fine. Let's go and look for it first. There should be a way out. There should be an exit at the place where we came in. Li Lingtian was not worried at all. As an array master, he was naturally familiar with arrays. Besides, Tuoba Nan and the Dishi family had been trying to get into this place, even if they had to offend a martial saint powerhouse. There must be some powerful treasures or cultivation techniques in this place. He did not need martial arts anymore, but he still desired skills. The power of the ice, fire, nine heavens, the power of the third heaven, was definitely equivalent to an intermediate or advanced heaven skill. Myriad returning swords was a heaven rank existence. He had many heaven rank skills, especially the tyrant blade art. It had a total of 3 moves. The first move, Desolate 10 consecutive slashes, was already so powerful that it completely exceeded the power of ordinary heaven rank skills. Moreover, the moves after that were of a different realm. In other words, the last 2 moves might be saint tier skills or even divine tier skills. Heaven rank skills also had strong and weak existences. Moreover, heaven rank divine powers also had taboos. The power of heaven rank taboos was many times stronger than heaven rank divine powers. However, the taboo of the heaven rank had never appeared in the divine martial continent. They had only heard of it in legends. You should feel honored. Tang Qingyue looked at Li Lingtian with a smile on her face. It was a happy smile. It was the first time she had smiled in more than 2 years. In fact, in her life, she rarely smiled for more than 10 years. The happiest moment of his life was when he was with Li Lingtian and his sister after he became the top genius on the prodigy roll during the Sky Dragon Empire tournament in Green Island. But later, he was captured by Dishi family and sent into the God's Ceiling Tower, losing his freedom. He spent the past 2 years in anxiety. He never thought that he would be free again one day, and that the one who saved him was the young man who made him the happiest. It was just that this youth had already become a young man after not seeing him for 2 years. A carefree and elegant young man, a shocking monstrous genius. Sister Qingyue, what do you mean? Li Lingtian was baffled. He did not know what Tang Qingyue's sudden remark meant. Isn't it your honor to be accompanied by 2 beauties? Be careful. When we go back, I'll see how you explain this to Meng Meng. Can you tell her how you came to the Azure continent? Tang Qingyue's face reddened. She had actually said such words herself. However, she could not control herself in front of Li Lingtian. When she thought of Li Lingtian's arrival in the Azure continent, she was curious as to how Li Lingtian came to the Azure continent. Huangfu Yuyan was curious as well. She had never known Li Lingtian's true identity. Even when Li Lingtian came to Vast Heaven City, he only heard that Li Lingtian had a grudge with the Dishi family. Oh, it's naturally an honor. One is one of the top 10 martial saints of the divine continent, and the other is a peerless beauty. Of course, I feel honored. As for coming to the Azure continent, it was my bad luck. After you were captured, many things happened. Li Lingtian slowly recounted what happened after Tang Qingyue was captured, including how astounding Thunder City killed a martial emperor, how they built the Heavenly Cloud battleship to sweep across the Azure continent, and how they were struck by the god's wrath's light and came to the Azure continent. He told them everything. The 2 ladies were shocked to hear that. They did not expect Li Lingtian to have such a twist. Then, he understood that it must not have been easy for a young man of 18 or 19 years old to reach the martial royal realm. It turned out that he had experienced countless life and death situations to reach this level. Oh right, you just said that I'm one of the 10 great martial saints. Could it be that I'm not a beauty? After hearing Li Lingtian's story, the 2 ladies were shocked and felt endless admiration for this young man. This young man was definitely not a spoilt child. He was a super genius who had experienced countless life and death situations. Moreover, he had walked on the edge of life and death. Huangfu Yuyan suddenly thought of something. She looked at Li Lingtian and asked seriously. Girls like to be serious, especially in front of the man they liked. Of course, Yuyan is a beauty, a peerless beauty. Li Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart. Why is this little girl like this? Was she still a martial saint? Were all the girls from the martial saint realm this serious? However, to be honest, Huangfu Yuyan was truly a peerless beauty. Her breasts were tall and perky, and her pink dress accentuated her petite and delicate body to perfection. That's more like it. Upon hearing Li Lingtian's words, Huangfu Yuyan's face lit up with joy. Tang Qingyue, who was standing by the side, also smiled. She did not treat Huangfu Yuyan as a martial saint at all but as a good sister. Let's go and find out what's so good about this place that Dishi family and Tuoba family cares so much about it. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, he walked forward but stopped after a few steps because there was no movement behind him. He turned around and saw the two girls sitting on the ground with no intention of getting up. Before he could say anything, Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan reached out their hands at the same time. That's more like it. Li Lingtian could only shake his head. He then reached out to pull the two girls up. After Tang Qingyue got up, she snorted softly and pouted at Li Lingtian proudly. Li Lingtian's face darkened immediately. Then, the three of them quickly ran into the distance. Little White was with Ge, and the silver-winged flying dragon was already injured. Little Mouth could only look at the multicolored beast. Li Lingtian summoned the multicolored beast and the three of them rode on the beast and sped forward. Along the way, the three of them looked at the red flowers and green willows everywhere, but there was no sunlight or stars in this place. 10 days passed in a flash, but the three of them still didn't find any treasures. Let alone treasures, they didn't even see a warrior's weapon. On this day, Li Lingtian arrived before a huge mountain range in 3 days. The mountain range was at least 10,000 meters tall and the huge mountain peak exuded a majestic aura. This was also the first mountain they had seen during this period of time. In the past few days, they had only seen small hills. Cangtian Mountain. A tall stone tablet stood at the foot of the mountain peak. The stone tablet was at least 100 meters tall. It was unknown what material the entire stone tablet was made of, but it emitted a domineering aura from top to bottom. Moreover, this stone tablet also gave people an illusion. When they looked at the stone tablet, the entire world was spinning. Chapter 346, Chapter 346, Ancient Battlefield, 1. Chapter 346, Ancient Battlefield, 1. Upon seeing this, Li Lingtian and the other two stopped. Be careful. Let me take a look. Li Lingtian instructed Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue before he walked toward the stone tablet. He looked so focused and serious, which made Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue feel a wave of sweetness. It felt good to have someone to protect him, and he didn't have to do things himself. Although they would go with him if there was danger, the nature was different because they felt that they were being protected. Following that, Li Lingtian slowly extended his divine consciousness and placed it on the stone tablet. Immediately, the stone tablet emitted a suction force and he was pulled in. When Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Without any hesitation, their delicate bodies flashed and they flew in the direction of the stone tablet. When he arrived in front of the stone tablet, he was also sucked in by the power inside the stone tablet. Behind the stone tablet was another world. This world was the mountain that he had just seen outside. But now, this mountain was bigger than he had imagined. The powerful mountain peak was filled with spiritual energy. However, this place was not as perfect as he had imagined, because he would encounter a skeleton from time to time. Moreover, these skeletons were holding powerful weapons in their hands. There were profound level weapons, imperial weapons, and heaven weapons. Li Lingtian waited on the spot after he was sucked in. He knew that Tang Qingyue and her companion would follow him in. As soon as he steadied himself, Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan appeared. Their delicate bodies crashed into him. Li Lingtian wrapped his arms around them, and a ray of true essence radiance wrapped them in his arms. He then put the two of them down. Although Huangfu Yuyan was like Li Lingtian, she was still shy with Tang Qingyue around. Her face was flushed red. Tang Qingyue felt even worse. Her heart was racing, and her face was flushed red. She did not expect herself to be in Li Lingtian's arms. Fortunately, Li Lingtian's eyes were scanning the surroundings, which prevented her from feeling even worse. Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue shuddered at the sight of the skeletons. Even though they were both warriors, Li Lingtian's presence inadvertently revealed their girlish nature. Lingtian, what is this place? Tang Qingyue asked softly when she saw the skeletons. She subconsciously leaned toward Li Lingtian. She had never addressed Li Lingtian as her brother-in-law before and did not know how to address him. After thinking about it for a long time, he could only call her understand. Although it felt a little intimate, it was much better than not calling her at all. This place should be the true ancient battlefield ruins. What we don't know is that the weapons in the hands of these ancient warriors should belong to two super forces or countless large forces fighting for territory or treasures. Even though they are all Xian artifacts and Emperor artifacts, these weapons are considered very impressive in the Divine Martial Continent. It seems that the mountain is the real dangerous place. You have to be careful. Li Lingtian began to analyze the skeletons and weapons in this place. This way, it would not be difficult for him to obtain the strength of the ancient times. After saying that, he held their hands and ran up. In this place, he did not dare to fly at all in case he encountered any powerful threats. Shoo! In half an hour, the three of them had only flown 10 miles. From the outside, the mountain peak looked only 10,000 meters high, but after entering the mountain peak, they realized that the height was less than 1/10 of the mountain peak. Furthermore, there was another problem. Along the way, there were only profound level weapons and imperial level weapons. Furthermore, the higher they went, the fewer skeletons they encountered, but the stronger the weapons they obtained. Looking at the pieces of profound armaments and emperor armaments entering the storage pouch one by one, the two girls were extremely excited. After resting for a while, Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan continued to fly upwards. Finally, they reached a height of 100 miles above the ground. However, during this distance, they had obtained several imperial artifacts and even a few heaven artifacts. Yuyan, Sister Qingyue, why don't you two enter the Divine Dragon Ring? I'll go up alone. You can come out after I go up. Li Lingtian's chest heaved up and down as he looked at the two women's angry expressions. It was a fatal temptation. He said to Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue. There was no life in this place, but it gave people the feeling that they were being watched. If there was any danger, he could deal with it alone, but Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan could not. All right, you have to be careful. Remember, we're waiting for you. Huangfu Yuyan nodded. She knew that this was not the time for romance. Both of them were only martial kings and this would only burden Li Lingtian. With Li Lingtian's current cultivation base, he should not be in any danger as long as he did not run into any of those supreme powerhouses in the 8th or 9th heaven. If Li Lingtian was in danger, the two of them would not be able to do anything. The Divine Dragon Ring was activated, and an invisible suction force swallowed the two of them. When they reappeared, they had already entered the Divine Dragon Ring. Once he was done, Li Lingtian sprinted forward. However, this time, he did not dash up directly. Instead, he began to search for treasures slowly. This way, although the speed of going up was slower, the number of treasures obtained increased. Li Lingtian's expression changed when he saw the emperor weapons and even the heaven weapons. A powerhouse who could use an emperor weapon or a heaven weapon, no matter how trashy he was, had some ability. However, these experts had all died here. The battle must have been extremely intense. Ancient battlefield? Li Lingtian muttered to himself as if he had thought of something. He cast a few small formations on the spot and began searching the divine dragon ring. In the end, she found Tuoba Nan's storage pouch. Huangfu Yuyan had grabbed this storage pouch when she entered the ancient tower. She knew that Tuoba Nan might have some information about the inside. Although he had fallen, she could not waste the storage pouch. The storage pouch was given to Li Lingtian as well. Li Lingtian had not touched it all this while. Now that he thought of the ancient battlefield, he was reminded of Tuoba Nan. There should be information regarding the ancient battlefield ruins in Tuoba Nan's storage bag. Soon, a storage bag was taken out, and his divine sense moved around in the storage bag. A jade slip appeared in his hand and he quickly inspected it with his divine consciousness. In a moment, Li Lingtian's face revealed a hint of joy but was even more shocked. Ancient battlefield ruins. So it's really the Azure Continent's ancient super clans fighting over this Tsang Mountain. It's said that there are powerful treasures on Tsang Mountain. Not only are the experts from the Azure Continent participating in this competition, but there are also experts from the other continents of the Divine Martial Continent. Li Lingtian muttered to himself. The fight for the treasure at Cangtian Mountain was similar to the Heavenly Devil Canyon. It was not only the powerhouses from Green Continent but also the proud sons of heaven from other continents who had sneaked in. After reading the jade slip, Li Lingtian was puzzled as well. He only knew that there were treasures in the Tsang Heaven Mountain and all the powerhouses were competing for it. However, he did not know how all the powerhouses died here. He put away the jade slip and carefully ran up. He also extended his divine sense. As long as there was any movement, he would escape from this place or use a destructive attack. Shoo! 200 meters underground, Li Lingtian was shocked by what he saw. He sat down on the ground because the pressure in this place had reached the range that he could withstand. Moreover, this place was not the peak. It could only be considered the top of the mountain. However, there was still a lot of energy left. He had already exhausted his physical strength. He was shocked by what he saw. It was a magnificent square filled with skeletons. There were countless skeletons, weapons, emperor weapons, and even a few saint weapons. He scanned the square with his divine sense. There was no sign of life in this square. Moreover, the square was not on the top of the mountain. He did not know what the purpose of building a square here was. How could there be experts living in such a place? Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyue appeared in front of Li Lingtian after he activated the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian then began to rest to recover his strength. Tang Qingyue and Huangfu Yuyan were shocked and they saw what was happening in the square. However, they did not dare to move at all. They stood guard by Li Lingtian's side and waited for him to recover his strength. 3 hours later, Li Lingtian opened his eyes again and nodded at the two ladies before he walked toward the plaza. When they arrived at the square, there was no longer a trace of oppression. It was as relaxed as if they had arrived at their own backyard. However, facing thousands of skeletons, how could the three of them relax at all? These skeletons were all martial emperors and martial supremacies. The weapons in their hands were also emperor weapons and heaven weapons. There were also a few who controlled saint weapons. Li Lingtian then extended his hand and tried to put away a weapon. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with it, he began to collect the storage pouches and weapons. The square with a radius of 10 miles was searched. All the weapons in the hands of the skeletons were put into their storage bags. After searching the entire plaza, he did not find any treasure. However, Li Lingtian's eyes fell on the statue in the center of the plaza. The statue had the appearance of a middle-aged man, and he looked extremely carefree. Even though it was a statue, it still gave off a powerful aura. Li Lingtian was surprised that the statue was not damaged in the battle between the powerhouses. Moreover, the statue exuded a strange aura which made Li Lingtian feel a sense of closeness. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.